Yeah.
So okay, I'm just gonna
You
just
take notes.
1 minute. Yeah, 1 minute. I'm just gonna
Jesus
get the
Christ.
no,
Holy
no,
crap. Okay.
Shepard. This is gonna be
No,
really
yeah,
fast.
no,
You think we're ready?
Seriously, just take
You
your
know what he
time,
just
right?
asked me? You know what he just asked me? He said, I know Shepard's been around. Like, how do I introduce Shepard? And I was like, that's what a prelim is for. But Deva the other day goes, why do we need a prelim? They're both is the problem. Like, Deva.
We are not.
Because all the podcasts that I've been to, Shepard, we never had the prelim. It's always
Yeah, I don't know
just
that you need one.
yeah.
You know, necessarily. I mean,
Needed
I mean, look, ultimately, it's your show. I mean, it's whatever you want it to be. I mean,
Right.
if you want to take the time in and do the effort, you can. If you think you could wing it, then that's fine too. I mean, ultimately, what matters is people are they entertained?
Well, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, like real quick?
Sure, yeah. So I guess I am a professional content creator. I've been making content full time for 3 years. I first started making content with Monster Hunter Tri sometime around the launch of Monster Hunter Tri and the Wii. Very first video, and I don't necessarily want to blow this before we actually start recording, was a bowgun video, actually, light bowgun video. Well, technically medium bowgun video.
I did see that because I was browsing through your channel. That was 11 years ago.
Yeah, I've been making stuff for a long time.
That's what I was telling you. It's like Shepard's been around.
Yeah, no. So I've been making content for a long time. So the you know, and again, you don't necessarily want to blow this all on a prelim before we're actually recording or anything, but
right.
I'm gonna tell you a secret.
Your balls all podcast.
I am gonna tell you a secret. I was recording from so
Okay.
yeah. So all that time that you guys were saying that's all recorded.
Oh.
So,
hey guys, welcome. This is Shepard.
Just hold on, one thing before we start. Can we not do any like hard R words here? Okay, there's some brand safety, and I'm not trying to censor you if that's what you want. If that's what you want to say, like you do whatever the hell you want. It's internet. It's a free play. But it's just for me. It's my career. It's what I do. I have to
Well, I mean, we're recording, so if that happens, I mean, bring it up.
No, yes.
yeah.
Well, and I did. So.
You can definitely lecture us about that, Shepard. Yeah. We will greatly appreciate it because we're just new in the
It 100%, and I've met some people with bad attitudes. I'm not saying it's you that think there's only enough room out there for like one Monster Hunter content creator.
Mm-hmm.
There's room out there for 10,000 content creators doing it full time in Monster Hunter. You know, how many billions of people are there on this planet? There's no shortage. You know, I get like what, 300 or 400 average viewers on Twitch on a good day. That's 300 people. That's nothing. You know, in the grand scheme of people that exist on the internet. So. You know, everyone could succeed, right? And you know, a rising tide lifts all boats.
That's the right mindset. Actually, me and Deva were talking about this the other day. Like that's the right mindset. So
absolutely,
great, absolutely awesome advice.
Yeah, and like I said, like I'm not saying it like I'm a little pissed off, but mostly I just don't want. You know, I'm going to be on this podcast, and then who knows if you'll ever have me back again. But at the very least, I want you to hear it from somebody doing it full time. Like, hey, whoa, slow your roll. You know. Just to make sure that you don't get caught into something.
I will include that to my introduction. I will mention here full-time content creator. Full-time.
I've been doing it 3 years full-time since October of 2018. Even before then, I was doing 40 hours a week streaming and like 45, 50 hours at a full-time job, and that was hell. That sucked. That was awful. So it got me to.
So now you don't. When you mean full time, it's sustaining you.
Full time.
Really?
Absolutely. 100% content creation. That's all I do. I do not have like a separate day job. I stream. Occasionally I make content for YouTube. I should be better at making content for YouTube, to be honest with you, but it's entirely through streaming. I have an agency I work with. They find me product deals that help supplement the income I get from subscriptions and things like that, and that's more than fine.
Oh, this is interesting because I thought like the whole revenue is just gonna come from subs and I don't know donations, and that is completely erratic in my head. Completely erratic. You can't predict it. Even the viewer count you can't predict. You don't know.
No, you could have a good idea. I mean, if you've been streaming long enough and you've been doing it consistently enough, you should have a fairly decent idea, depending on what it is you're doing and what it is you're streaming, what your viewer count is going to be. And you know, I could say with a good amount of confidence that if I stream this type of content at this time, I will get around this type of people that are going to be watching.
Before we go dive into some juicier info, we should start the podcast.
Let me know when you want to start. Well, I mean, this stuff, like, that's not necessarily all stuff that obviously I'm telling it to you. I don't care if you include it somewhere. But,
no, I'm going to include it. It's just funny that we're going to start the podcast after already, talking about this info. So
yeah, I mean, it's more for me to tell to you guys. So, if I mean, no, I'm honestly, I mean, you ask me anything. I mean, I really don't care. I mean, like Retro said when he his intro to me, like we all play Monster Hunter, we're all content creators. Like, I don't have some enormous secret, but I do have a lot of experience. I've got a lot of knowledge, and I don't mind talking.
No,
about it
and you seem really, really, really willing to share just yourself and your experience. So that's awesome. That's fucking awesome.
Like I said, like there's no limit. Like I said, a rising tide lifts all ships. When I first started, when I moved to Twitch. All right, hold on, let's stop. You go ahead and start the podcast.
Yeah, let's start. Let's start, dude. Let's go.
Okay, we're gonna start. So, welcome, guys, to episode 4 of the Pewpew.
Do you want the Audacity or no?
Welcome, everybody, to the Pewpew podcast, episode 4. Now, once again, take everything that we say with a grain of salt. Keep a chill and open mind. We're not here to offend people. We're just here, enjoying our time, talking about things, talking about Monster Hunter, something related to content creation as well, and anything under the sun. We have here is a special guest. It is a speedrunner that just doesn't go for one monster. He goes for the whole game. Okay, he speedruns the whole game, a full game speedrunner, and it's a full-time content creator known in the MH community. 2018 North America Monster Hunter World Champion. Yeah, that's 2018, right? That's correct.
Yeah, it was
North America.
Yeah. So July. It was just before Behemoth dropped.
Oh, okay. So that's the early stage of Monster Hunter World. Yeah.
Yeah, they were still definitely work in progress. I don't think there was any more balance changes after that, but at the very least, there was still plenty more content.
So yeah, that's our special guest, Shepard. So there.
Yeah, hey, happy to be here. The Pewpew podcast, right?
Yes, the Pewpew podcast. We have to think of
have you here.
Yeah, we have to think of a name that's kind of related to gunning, since
it works.
Yeah, it kind of works because you can just go onga bunga with the things that you say.
Blade Master here? Am I the only one that does that?
Oh no, that was a Blade Master. Retro's hammer guy. Yeah,
I like all the weapons, so depending on the weapon, I like certain weapons more or less. But
I like insect glaive. You like insect glaive too?
Yeah, everything. Yeah.
Okay.
Wait, you play insect glaive? You play insect glaive, Shepard? Oh, okay.
I've done speedrun attempts with every weapon. And sometimes you get first by default because nobody else wants to play the weapon, so that's always fun too. When you just get the easy coast to victory because nobody else wanted to submit a record. Like heavy bowgun on the world leaderboard, I think I'm the only one that ever even wanted to attempt to route something like that. It's painful. Base world heavy bowgun was rough.
Base world?
Yeah, because early on you don't have like good skills and stuff like that, I assume. Like
not graduals, the whole game. The whole game.
Yeah,
but you don't farm for decorations. You don't farm for.
No,
gear.
you've got bone and you've got ore for the most part. With heavy bowgun, you can get lucky. You can get a great Jagras drop, and that carries you hard through low rank. And you can even keep using it for a while too.
What heavy bowgun do you use if ever you're going to speedrun through the entire game, knowing that you can't really grind for those optimal sets?
Yeah, so I mean, if you're lucky, you'll get the great Jagras heavy bowgun, and if I remember correctly, it has both Wyvern Heart and spread. And again, through the low rank, so like for the first part of the game, if you're lucky, you can get one really solid Wyvern Heart off and then a couple spread shots and the quest is over because the things just don't have the life to withstand the Wyvern Heart. High rank is when it's a nightmare because the only generally viable upgrade is either ore or bone, and neither of which are all that good. Base world, we were dealing with base world Pierce, which was a joke. And I think some of those had Wyvern Snipe and not even Wyvern Heart. I think Ore might have Wyvern Heart, which helps a little bit, but not a lot. And that's what made it painful, right? Is you're running around essentially naked in your speedrun gear, and you're using all these awful shots like normal 2 and Pierce, like you have no spread. Spread just makes everything so much easier in base world. Obviously, when the Iceborne patch dropped, a lot of things changed. It helped the game in some ways, right? The tracks that drop that you have to do for Pink Rathian, as well as for the Elders, you have to pick up the tracks to advance the game. They just like copy pasted a bunch of them, so they didn't get rid of the track gathering, but they made it a lot easier to get through that. So that makes that section of the game go a bit quicker. But then you get, claw staggers and changes in things like weakness exploit, and then some of the balance changes. I did not enjoy running Monster Hunter World with Iceborne nearly as much as I enjoyed running Base World, even though it was usually a faster run with the increased tracks. Just because, like, I hate the claw stagger. I think most people do. I don't think there's somebody out
I
there.
was
Like,
about to ask. Now you have the clutch claw, and you have to tenderize sit zones, and they all got nerfed. I assume it's worse than before, or not as fun. Like,
honestly, it doesn't change much in Base World because those monsters weren't designed to be tenderized. So all that really changes is the claw stagger. In some situations, it could have, in theory, made the runs a bit faster because you could have latched onto something during a claw stagger and weakened something that would otherwise not be weak. I'm trying to think where that would matter. Really, only Anjanath, and even then, you usually mess them up pretty badly. The real thing that changes things is if you want to get like really cheesies, even if you want to do a non-DLC run, you pick something like Sword and Shield. Tenderizing changes that because you can run on, tenderize something, and you get the Slinger Burst. And Slinger Burst, I'm sure you guys don't think of as anything being powerful, right? Like, you don't go out of your way to use it. In low rank, if you get yourself some Slinger Bombs and Piercing Pods, the damage is, I don't want to say it's fixed, but it's definitely not scaled in a way that's something that you're supposed to be abusing in low rank, because you could basically kill anything in low rank if you have enough piercing Slinger Bursts or
piercing. I was going to say
slingers.
piercing.
yeah, that's
Piercing
the
and
thing.
bomb, they're
Actually,
both
I want to
good.
segue. I want to segue into, because you mentioned that you run gunning weapons and melee.
Everything.
So are there any particular differences that are at least worth mentioning that make it either harder or more or easier when you run melee or ranged for full game running? Because I've been looking into it a bit ever since the mod came out that eliminates cutscenes.
Sure.
It sparked my interest much more in potentially myself getting into full game speedrunning. So I was wondering if, and there's routes, right? Like, there's massive routes. So
there's absolutely routing that you're going to do. Yeah.
Are there big differences, Shepard, between running melee and gunning weapons for full game running?
So before we even get into that, you have to decide whether or not it's going to be what's considered like an add-on run or not. And add-on is essentially if you're going to be using the Defender and Guardian weapons. So if you want the absolute fastest, least RNG reliant run you're going to get, you're going to do a Defender run, because every upgrade you need is guaranteed. So
that's what it means when I see a video that's titled add-ons, when it has the words add-ons in the title. You're
basically guaranteed an iron ore. I mean, you can always grab the add-on pack anyways. I think that's legal, and it gives you iron ore anyways. It goes iron ore. That's your first Defender weapon. Then it's an Anjanath scale, which you could sometimes get lucky and grab it from an Anjanath as he's wandering around, or it's guaranteed. Like, you're just going to get it no matter what. Then I think the next one is Commendation, which is guaranteed from Zora. Then it's a Pink Rathian scale, which is guaranteed from Pink Rathian. And then it's a Nergigante scale, which is guaranteed from Nergigante. So you're guaranteed your upgrade path. There's zero real RNG, other than maybe if you want to get an early upgrade from Anjanath. Even then, as insane as it sounds, it doesn't always necessarily save time. When you're talking about low rank monsters with already a 130 base raw weapon with great capacity for guns, so it's like, the Defender light bowgun was for a while technically one of the best light bowguns, even in Iceborne master rank content.
True, yeah.
Just because of the clip size of the normal 2 and its rapid fire, versus whatever upgrade. I think it goes up to like 160 or something. It doesn't make as big of a difference. And again, with some weapons, like, even as good as the Defender Sword and Shield is, like, you're blowing things up with pods. For me personally, I have done some runs. I say recently, like in the last 4 months, when I did runs, I preferred to do it with no claw stagger. I would mod that out, so I don't think that would even be a valid speed run. But if I want to do something, I want to do something that is entertaining. And the claw stagger to me just I don't like it. My preference is base world. If I could have saved an image of the game before Iceborne came out and only played that, I do that. And then the other preference is also no add-ons, because it really does make the game a lot easier. When you're thinking about, am I watching this run? Am I enjoying the run? Part of that is there tension? So does this guy even need to evade, or can he just face take hits and just pop a potion and be fine? When you've got the Defender gear, I mean, it's not the best high rank armor in the game. It's kind of middle to the low end. It's nowhere near as strong as Defender. weapons are, but it's still
But
very
those are
good
two
for low
different
range.
categories. Those are two different categories,
Right.
right?
So if I
And
were to do a
clarify,
run,
to clarify real quick, Shepard, to cut you off, you saying claw staggers.
right.
We refer to those as claggers. I believe
I
we're
know, but
talking about the same
clagger
thing.
is just a funny word. I just say clog.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Just to clarify, if anyone maybe not
Well, if somebody has
understands what
heard
you're
of
referring to.
the word clagger and they don't know that it's Clawstead, what are you doing with
I
your
don't
life?
know.
Okay,
I don't
so
know.
now that I broke that first part down, between gunning and blade master, I mean, light bow gun is just easy. You know, I mean,
Sure.
whether it's defender, not defender, whatever, you know, you have so much mobility. It's not a problem. The funny thing is for non DLC, so no add-on light bowgun, the first part of the game, do you know what shot you fire?
Normal
It's
ones?
a
No.
test.
Normal ones
All right,
or Pierce ones?
normal ones. Okay, Pierce ones. Any other guesses?
I don't know.
Special
Would
ammo?
you use your minds? Do you use your
Not,
minds?
Yeah.
a
not
lot?
real fan, fake fan. You do use mines. Actually, it was a trick question. You just punch the monster with your bowgun.
Wow.
Oh
You just- you
yeah,
just
yeah,
do
because
the little
the
shield
melee
bash
damage
over
is,
and over.
and you also
You
have
can get
good
a
stun
KO
values
too.
there. Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
do KO too.
You do KO.
Mhm.
So when you think about that punch, you're essentially hitting the monster with your true damage at, well, you know, whatever your raw is. It's basically a yellow sharpness weapon. But at that point in the game, you're mostly using yellow, and if you're lucky, you might have a little bit of green anyways, right?
Yeah.
So your gun isn't in the very, very beginning that much different than any other
melee
equivalent bowgun would be than a melee weapon. Yeah. So you're punching them with your gun, and then you drop down normal mines.
Dude, full
and
game
you could,
speedrunning is a completely different world. Like it's vast, and the
Yeah, of
optimization
course.
is complicated.
yeah.
It's not. I feel like a baby getting into this world, like not
Well,
knowing basically anything about optimizing full game runs.
it's just really good content. It's fun to do, and people like watching it. And I don't want to disrespect any other content, but I think you guys are all aware that sometimes it can be pretty stressful for yourself and your audience if they're just watching you do TA attempts and it's being streamed. It's not fun to see resets every 3 minutes.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
actually
true,
feel very uncomfortable streaming speedruns. That's why I almost never stream them.
Yeah, I you know, I don't necessarily think it's great content. Now, if it's a brand new monster, say a title
Yeah,
update
yeah,
just came out, say
sure.
like Basil dropped or whatever in Rise, and you wanted to like get that out right away, I don't think necessarily there'd be anything wrong with streaming that like the second something comes out and you're doing the routing, because people find routing and stuff like that to be very interesting. But if you're like grinding out a world record, you're like, oh, I gotta save 2 seconds, and so you know, he looked
Yeah,
at me
you're
funny.
definitely gonna reset if you miss something there.
Right.
Right.
So
Yeah.
in that regard, when you're doing a full game speed run, you can have a couple mistakes and still have a good run.
Yeah.
And even if you have a couple mistakes and it's not going to be a world record run, there still may be good moments. It's still good content. People still enjoy watching it.
Mhm.
God knows, you know, at least if there's cutscenes, I mean, it's an excellent opportunity to have a little chat with your chat. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, I'm on autopilot. I mean, here's the downside when you remove the cutscenes, and I'm not saying it's good or bad necessarily, but like, you know, you still got 2 or 3 hours. Like, do you not need to use the bathroom? Do you not need to like drink some water?
The tension is still there, right? So that for the whole 3 hours, the tension will be there if there are no cutscenes.
You don't have
Yeah.
any breaks
Yeah.
whatsoever. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I mean, if you could do it, you've got the bladder and you've got the attention span and everything else, that's okay. But for me, you know, it's an opportunity to look over your list, say who's in chat, talk to them and stuff like that. You know, you're not full on gamer gunched over, like sweating the whole time, you know?
Yeah.
No, and for
So
streaming,
it's a
streaming, it
positive and a
makes-
negative. Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
I can fully relate to what Retro was saying earlier about being a baby, because earlier when you were saying all these things about the pathing, rating drops, when it went to Iceborne from World, I was like drooling. I was like one of the people in the comments saying, "Hey, can we have those little infos there when you guys are talking, those technical terms?" Because when you were explaining, I can't follow. I was like, I can't even remember where to get commendation. I think I searched that before when I was making builds. How do you make this bowgun again? Commendation, high commendation, and these things. I didn't know. It's a completely different ball game. And if you look at it, I'm getting curious. Yeah, it sounds kind of exciting too. I mean,
people enjoy watching it. The thing is, and I've teased other speedrunners before, because there was one speedrunner that said he was a charge blade runner. I won't call him out publicly. Said Shepard, as long as you make a guide for this game for me to speedrun it, I will speedrun it. And you know what? I was at E3 2019 and I was at the Capcom booth. I was talking to some people there and like, hey, Iceborne's coming out. Would you mind creating a starter guide for people to help get them through base world? And I made this guide and it's like, I don't know if the title isn't good or if it's like fully encapsulated. It's called Warm Up to Iceborne. And it's a double thing here. I'm like, my hand is.
Yeah. Yeah, there we go.
It's two things at once. So it's a guide for new players. But at the same time, I included all of the information that I had in there as a speedrunner in there as well. So not only am I telling you what you would want to do to upgrade in a perfect scenario, grinding out as a starter, but it has a lot of the track patterns and a lot of these other things that you would want to do as well if you were running the base game. The biggest difference, and it's not a huge difference, but the biggest difference is now the track patterns are changed. Like I said, they copy and pasted a lot of tracks so that you can actually get through the routing of those a lot faster. And so you'd want to watch the most current up-to-date speedruns to kind of see how that's changed, see what people are doing there. But a lot of the same strategies, almost the same. Anjanath went from 3 sleep knives to 2 sleep knives. Not a huge difference, but it's a difference. It can make it, a small difference depending if you go to grab an extra sleep herb or not. But it's still everything in there is some really solid strategy that was compiled after speedrunning the game basically full time for what felt like a year.
I'm going back to that baby state again when you mentioned about sleep knives because I've never used the knives in like the speed run.
Changes.
So they're really useful, the knives.
Absolutely. So I mean, when you're talking about using awful gear against Anjanath, who at that point in the game, the first Anjanath in low rank, he's actually pretty powerful. Doesn't have a lot of life, but he could kill you in one hit if he gets you with his charge. He starts right in the area with the boulder, which I think if you drop it, it's like 10% of their health.
Yeah, that's gonna.
And then if you put him to sleep and you hit him with the boulder, then I think it takes 20% of his health off. So you start off the fight, he's already down to 80% health. Yeah, they become capturable at 25%. Now you've got so much of your work already cut out for you.
True.
Do you actually watch like normal speedruns? Sorry, I mean like short speedruns, like a single monster.
One monster
speedrun. Absolutely.
And take strategies from those because single monster speedruns are more optimized into how to cut a second or a few frames and everything. Do you implement stuff like those on RTA, or are the difference too small to even care looking on strategies?
I mean, yes and no. I mean, you could look at some positioning and what people do, and you may be able to implement that in some way. Like I said, I run all weapons, so that's a lot of ground to cover to try and master all of them at the same time. But I mean, when you're doing ILs, I mean, you are a well-honed machine. I mean, you've got people frothing at the mouth trying to decide whether or not this one EFR is worth overtaking some other maybe utility skill, right? When you're in a full game speed run, I mean, outside of the situation when you're running a defender weapon where you might be at that top tier power level where you can more or less flinch lock stuff, I mean, you're dealing with like a bone weapon. Your main offensive skill is your bone chest with attack up 1.
I mean, he's referencing Slinger Burst as a
Slinger Burst is ideal damage for the entirety of low rank. I mean, that's like peak performance over there.
I didn't really directly mean damage, like mostly small stuff. For example, like having one slinger one slinger equipped and you shoot it, you have no recovery frames after it. Or using a smoke bomb on the monster, like it won't attack you and it will do the roar again. And you can keep attacking, like the small exploity stuff or something like that. That's what I meant mostly.
Not so much. I mean, it all depends on like if you're doing a full game speedrun, right? It's always about your risk versus your reward. So in an IL, if you're doing like a risky trick that might save you a half a second, there's no problem because if you screw it up, you just reset. If I'm trying to do something like drop a small barrel bomb to possibly avoid a roar so then I can get my attack out a half second sooner. That's a very precise trick that you're going to do. Now, it would be hype as hell to see somebody do that in a full run. I use small barrel bombs going into Val's lair sometimes to eat a mite seed quick and break through his little door there. But I've never considered doing anything like that during an actual run. Like actually face to face with a monster. That really comes down to really knowing their timing, their positioning, your own iframes and stuff like that.
And it's also about, like you say, risk reward. Like if you've been doing a run for 2 hours that's godly and going really well, are you gonna take?
Yeah, you won't
You
risk
don't want
it.
to risk it.
Yeah.
Like, are you right? You have a safe option that you know is gonna work and maybe add a couple seconds, or are you gonna? It's just I don't think it's worth it.
I mean, look, at the same time, we're doing it to entertain people. If Nergigante is doing his dive roar somehow and he's in the room with the crystals and I could drop them on him while he's diving at me, I'm going to do it. I'm not going to not do that. Absolutely, I'm going to do that. That's fun as hell.
Right.
That's badass.
Right. That is.
So on the opposite end of like doing tricks to speed up the run, if you could do something that is just amazing to see and it's fun to watch somebody do, I'll do that stuff sometimes. Again, I mean, it all depends. Like, we each one of us could sit down and write on a piece of paper and put in a box about why we speedrun. My answer is because I want to entertain people. So if I'm doing a speedrun, ultimately it comes down to like what's going to be entertaining for people to watch. If I lost 10 seconds, but it made the run a way better because people would be like, wow, remember the time you dropped that crystal on Gigante dive? Or remember that time you rolled through his dive or something like that? It's pretty cool. It's fun.
Well, I've noticed that about streaming. You have a community. You actually have people that become part of your life to a certain degree, and you hang out with them.
You got everyone's got a parasocial relationship. Absolutely.
Sure. And so I hadn't thought about it until just recently, kind of getting more and more into Twitch, and it's a big deal. It's a big deal.
Like you said in the intro, like I'm a full-time streamer. Everyone's going to build their own community the way they want to. And it's reflective of them. And a common taunt is chat reflects the streamer, and it is true. You said it. The people that you make your mods, the people you make VIP, the people that you time out, the people you ban, stuff like that. One way or another, you're responsible for the community that's there. But at the same time, you're also deeply dependent on your own community. If you're doing this full time, I couldn't do what I do if it weren't for the people that watch my content and engaged in it.
That is something that I'm having a hard time with, like knowing who to ban or knowing where to draw the line.
Sure.
That's hard. Yeah.
Here's what I would say. If somebody in your chat is making you not enjoy streaming, like you are having a worse time because that person is there based on whatever it is they're saying, you're not necessarily going to time out and ban that person because they bother you, because if it was just you and that person one-on-one, wouldn't be a big deal. You can handle it. Yeah. But if they're going to make the show worse because they're distracting you or they're putting you in a negative state, now they're affecting everyone else's enjoyment of the stream, right?
Yeah.
So you're going to punish everyone else. You're not going to time out or ban some person because they're being an asshole. And then everyone else is going to have a bad time because you're having a bad time. No, just ban them and then laugh at them and say,
okay. So it's like you're not going to call them out. It's just going to be like, okay, just time out.
Look, I am probably pretty extreme, but if I really don't like what somebody says, I say, you know what? I'm going to give you 2 weeks to figure it out, because that's the maximum that Twitch will allow. I'll time them out for 2 weeks. Go all in. And if they come back and the first thing they say is, man, I just got off a 2-week timeout, and then they say something dumb again, just ban, done, gone. See ya.
That's something I gotta do. That's something I gotta do sometime. Yeah.
No, I'm not streaming for that one asshole. I'm streaming for like the 300, 400 other people that are in the chat that want to watch the stream, and it's good. And you have to remember, like, who you see pop up in your chat, right? Those are just the people that are chatting. You might, depending on your stream, you could have 50%, 60% people that are just lurking that leave it on because they just like hearing your voice.
True.
And it's, I mean, look, banter is fine. Obviously, if you die, you take a rough card or something like that, you start seeing a flood of tech use, that's completely okay. Obviously, that's Twitch, that's what happens. But if somebody's just like really going out of their way to be mean or something, give them 2 weeks. And a lot of times they come back, they're still watching. They just can't chat anymore.
I see. This is completely opening my eyes.
Like I said, I do this for a living. If I can do it, if I can afford to do it, if you're not doing it full time, you can afford to do it, And don't get into the habit of just modding everyone who's just showing up in your chat first. I know you did. I know all of you did. That's fine.
Bata, that's actually happened once on your stream, but it was vice versa. You remember when we were speedrunning and then there was that one guy where he kept saying, "Oh, Deva died, and he didn't let go of it.
Right.
Yeah, Deva actually got.
And then I got banned, not that guy, because I insulted him in DMs, and I was really mean. But I told him like, how can you be so disrespectful? We are like sweating here to get the run over like 4
Yeah.
hours. We were hungry.
Yeah, no, I mean, especially if you're resetting for TAs, I'd be pissed. It's one thing if I'm having a good run in an RTA and I beans it, because it is what it is. Like if you're in 3 hours, 4 hours, it's a dead run. It's a dead run.
That's a completely different topic. I mean, you can reset 1,000 times at least. Like my runs take 12.
I'm not going to reset.
Resets.
So we're going to the end. I'm going to Xeno no matter what.
Right. So that's actually I want to segue, Shepard, because you say if I can stream, anyone can stream. And yeah, that's great. But like looking at you have a really long track record. You go back 11, 12 years. Like you're one of the original, like OG content creators here in the West.
Yeah,
right?
For Monster Hunter, I mean, at least in terms of somebody who added like a voice commentary, because when I started doing it, if there were Western content creators, it was just a raw video footage, and at best you might get some little subtitles like with like free Bandicam up in the corner. You know, those were the videos that were being made. I could pretty confidently say I was the first Monster Hunter content creator that was putting like voice commentary and like strategies and stuff like that in the game. And I'm not saying going back to those Monster Hunter Try videos, you're going to see top tier speedrun tricks. Okay, this was how to play the game. This is how to get beyond try Baroth in the village or try Baroth in Loklak or whatever. You know,
I even see.
But that's huge. That's huge.
I even saw a video wherein you guys did a hunt. Like I think it was a challenge with your viewers, wherein you hunted an Uragan using only poison ammo. I didn't even know that was a
I don't
good
even
challenge.
remember that. Did we win?
You were firing poison ammo, then you were firing paralysis ammo, and then your teammates were asking you what you're firing. Like, are you firing another ammo? And they didn't know about it because they were just firing poison ammo. And they're like, why is the monster, supposed to die? And you were telling them that the monster's about to die. But they totally don't feel that the monster's about to die because they're just firing poison ammo. And I think that didn't really deal damage. They don't deal damage, right? I mean, the status deals damage.
No, the shots themselves deal damage. Yep. The poison
ammo, it's not just one? It's not just
I think it's 5%. It depends on the game. I think Poison 2 deals 12%. And actually, the funny story,
I
saw a front. You guys remember Monster Hunter Frontier, the MMO for the game?
Yeah.
The best Monster Hunter game ever made. Yes.
One of the best. I mean, it's a shame we can't play it now. Well, maybe someday.
Right. Well, maybe.
There was a speed run against Fatalis in that game where it was like 4 dudes machine gun firing Poison 2 against the Fatalis because for whatever reason the gun setup was able to fire Poison 2 like a normal 2 in a rapid fire setup. And between the poison damage and the fact that it was just dealing 12%, they killed him anyways. It was very bizarre. I couldn't. If you put me in a Saw-like environment and you said you have 10 minutes to live and find this video and show it to you, I couldn't show it to you. But it did exist. It was a thing, and it does deal damage. I think sleep does 0 damage. But para and poison both have a motion value associated with it. I don't know if it's changed now in the modern games, but it should. In some of the games, it does deal damage.
No, this is completely new to me because I'm a 5er and I just experienced Monster Hunter fully in Monster Hunter World, and
doesn't deal damage, but definitely in the older games, the shot itself will deal damage.
You're talking to 3 5ers, Shepard. The 3 of us are new.
So what's the farthest you guys have gone back to play the Monster Hunter games?
GU.
Retro, you just
GU is the farthest.
Well, I own for 3DS. I own Try and I own Double X. Hey, I have them here.
Why do you say Frontier is the best game? Have you ever played it?
I've never played it, but all
you
the
just look at it and you just look at it and through the pane of the glass, you're like, ooh, this game.
Yes,
I miss it.
And and like those who know me best in the community, like they know that I'm just joking around, but I get super sad because I never got to play it, and I'll literally watch videos over and over and over again, and just
what made it stand out so much?
The monster design.
Like if ever I'm gonna ask you one sentence or maybe just one phrase, what made it stand out so much? What
difficulty?
I could tell. I mean, so I played it in 2010 and 2011. I played it on the Japanese retail server, and I played it at the end of its life. So holidays of 2019. And I could tell you, for better or for worse, at the end of its life, it was literally a Monster Hunter game created for speedrunners. That's what it was. And I think that's probably what killed it. But for like a speedrunners game, at the very end content, the things that they were dropping, imagine if like, so you know how like a Monster Hunter game comes out, everyone jumps on it, Reddit goes like, oh, this is wonderful, we love it. And then it just turns into like, hey, I'm just posting pictures of like this Monster Hunter themed meal, or hey, look at my cat, stare at my palico, or whatever. And then as time goes on, the only people still playing the game really are you know, speedrunners or really enthusiasts in the community. Imagine that just kept happening over and over and over again, but the game kept getting new content. And so like the only people playing the game are speedrunners. To me, that's how the game felt. Because at the very end, like you have to balance your armor skills because you could only have 10 active skills at once. Like there's a cap. Like you would go over the cap of skills that you would get from how much points you had on your armor. And then you could like expand your armor, and sometimes you can actually get a skill that would give you 12 active armor skills just to get as much damage as you would like to be able to actually kill the monsters in a more reasonable amount of time.
Right, but the hitboxes like cover the screen, the attacks like
sometimes, yeah. I mean, that, you know, there's that stereotype that, you know, everything in Frontier was like a one-hit screen covering kill. And obviously those did exist at times. White Fatalis, if you didn't get really next to him,
right,
in the Hunter's Road, he would just shoot down lightning and you would like disappear. he like anime ending you when he pulled out his attack, and you would evaporate into nothingness.
And there was a leaderboard, right, Shepard? There was
there would be actual guilds competing against each other, and you would have red versus blue. And then not only that, the game had a built-in time attack mode where you could see like the ghosts of people moving through the time attack.
Holy shit, really?
Right, so you literally so you could see the best players in the world literally next to you. And so that's why I say it was the best. Like it's a fantasy dream for me. It's a
for a speedrunner, it's the best.
Right.
Wait,
this is the content. It just looked amazing. I am very sad. Yeah, super sad I didn't get to play it.
So wait, you guys did mention that there's going to be like a shadow of a person there who attempted the monster, right?
Sure.
So does that mean the monster AI is almost always fixed?
Not necessarily. I mean, obviously where you stand, it will determine the monster's, you know, AI in terms of where they're going to turn and what attack they're going to do, but you could still see where they are. But yeah, I mean, if you want to try and like, you know, do the same moves that they were doing at the same time and hope you get the same AI, in theory, you know, you could have the exact same run.
I see.
Right,
in theory, who knows? You know,
I can just a reference, right? To see.
Yeah, I could only remember doing it a couple times. And back then, I mean, I was probably decent, but I certainly wasn't setting any records. If we're talking about like 2010 when I would have done it, you know, I was capable, but I wasn't going to be like breaking anything. I mean, it was rough. I mean, here's the horrible reality retro. If you want to get into like the price of playing it as like a Western player back then, right. So you had your subscription. It was like $10, $15.
That's like per month.
Per month, just to play the game. And then if you wanted to access your item box in town, plus have access to a couple extra quests, which included like Monoblos and things like that, you had to pay for the extra pass, which was like another $5 a month. So it's like $20 a month. And then if you wanted to have low latency, you had to pay for like a Japanese VPN. That was like another $5 or $10 a month. So you're already in $30 a month. And then when it's time to actually like progress, so say you wanted to get to G rank, again, this is back in 2010, you had to get a certain number of style points just to get where you needed to go. So you'd be, okay, I'm going to pay an extra $5 or $10 this weekend to get access to the special pass, which gives you access to quests that let you grind even more. They're like, well, if I'm paying that much money for this long weekend anyways, you could spend an extra $5. You get this Rasta that will jump into the party with you, that will fight the monster with you, just to get the clear over quickly, because you're not even fighting the monster. It's just sitting there, you know, twitching on the ground.
You're paying for your palico. Wow.
You basically paid for a palico. Actually, I mean, you do have companions. You have a hawk that would fly around and help you out, and I think you'd have a Poogie that would show up and give you stuff. So the reason I stopped playing it was A, the grind was extreme, and B, I'm like, I don't really want to be paying this money anymore. I mean, back then, like, nobody was making any money off their content. You know, none of my content was monetized. There was no Twitch, there was no streaming or anything else like that. And I'm like, I'm spending like $100 a month just to try and grind up in a game, and all I spend is like fighting a monster twitching on the ground.
Well, so I mean, World actually put the franchise on the map, right? Like before World
in the West. I
in the
mean,
West?
I would say Try was the first main game that really got a lot of people interested in Monster Hunter in the West. Some people played Freedom Unite, but that game was hard, and a lot of people didn't have the patience for it. 4 Ultimate was probably the next big entry into the series. A lot of people got 4 Ultimate. A lot of people got into the series with 4 Ultimate. Nobody really cared about Generations, but 4 Ultimate was really big. But then, yes, World is when the game hit the mainstream.
I remember Try, right? I still have it, and For You, and I remember actually thinking it had to be progression. So I thought, okay, I'm gonna have to play Monster Hunter 1 first. But then I thought, okay, right. So I was like, okay, it's hard to get. So I started with Try. I remember putting it in. The first weapon I touched was Hunting Horn. I was like, what is this? Like, what am I supposed to do? Because the game does not hold your hand at all. So I go in quest. I have a Hunting Horn in my hand, and it just seems like the most bizarre game in the world. Like, what is this thing? Like, it plays music?
Yeah, you can't run with your weapon out. You know, you have to put your weapon away to heal. When you heal, you flex. When a monster attacks you, it feels like you have no time to evade it at all. You have like no iframes.
Monster Hunter 1 is in PSP, right? That's
Monster Hunter 1 is
PSP.
PlayStation 2.
Oh, PlayStation.
So the very first Monster Hunter is in
PSP.
PlayStation 2. So I just got off the end of a challenge where I did an all credits challenge, where the goal was to get through to the credits to every, main released Monster Hunter game in the series. So it goes Monster Hunter 1.
In one sitting? In one sitting?
No,
or no?
It was like 300
That's going to be
hours.
like... What?
No, it was a lot of time. No, so it goes Monster Hunter 1, then Monster Hunter 1 in the West, then Monster Hunter G in Japan, then Monster Hunter Freedom on the PSP, then Monster Hunter Dose for PlayStation 2, then Freedom 2 on the PSP, then Freedom Unite, Try, Portable Third, 3 Ultimate, then 4 in Japan, then 4 Ultimate, then Gen or Cross, then Double Cross, then Gen, well, technically World, then GU, then Iceborne, then Rise.
Technically, you could do that, Shepard, for a stream. Isn't there a Dark Souls runner that does that? Like, he plays every one of the Souls games back to back. I don't remember what it's called, but it's like 6 games.
Like an endurance run.
Right. And it's this guy. Oh boy, I don't remember his name, but he's like the first person in the world to do it. And it's called like the Emperor Run or something. And he plays all 6 games back to back.
So let me pull up my notes here. It took 171 hours.
Ugh.
Jeez,
so
never mind.
So
8 hours in
those
1,
are all the games.
So 8 hours in 1, 7 hours in Freedom, 18 hours in Dose, 5 hours in Freedom 2, 25
18
hours.
Wait, how come the other one's like 18 hours?
Dose?
That's like so far.
So in Dose, you have to pay even to sleep.
What?
And there's just like, so if you just want to like change it from day to night, because some monsters are only available at night, and then not only that, the certain monsters are only available to hunt in certain seasons.
So you have to wait for the season.
You can do quests or you can pay money. What do you want to do?
Pay money.
Oh, crap.
And then beyond that, the game only has a very rough translation. Randomly these red bubbles come up that you have to complete. So it says, give me this item or do this thing. And so you have to complete all the red bubbles just to get the next quest to pop up. So and then, when it comes time to heal, you can't buy potions. You can't even buy herbs until randomly. So you're beating most of the game with like your 3 first aid potions, and you're basically naked because you can't afford anything because you had to pay money just to sleep.
And this is the second Monster Hunter.
This is Monster Hunter Dose. This is the second like main generational shift released on the PlayStation 2. Yeah.
Then when it came to Monster Hunter 3, did they remove all those things or?
So
because it drastically decreased.
Try was 25 hours, by the way, because you have to kill 100 wyverns just to beat the game.
Jesus.
Okay,
so you end up killing a bunch of cuckoos. Try has a day and night system, but you can sleep for free. So that's no problem.
25 hours. Okay.
By the way, in case Capcom is listening to this, I will pay you $100 a month for an MMO. $1 million a month.
I just had a stream with Jono, the most recent Capcom community EU manager. Wonderful guy. We're very lucky to have him. It's a shame to see Sox go, but he seems like he's going to be an amazing step-in replacement fill-in for that.
I actually saw that, Shepard, and he's taking a super active role.
Super active role. Very cool guy. Very happy. But interesting on that note, when I spoke to him about that, because to me, Monster Hunter preservation, game preservation in general is a huge thing to me. Like if I've got something I'm passionate about, it would be that every game in perpetuity was available for us to buy and play in its original intended format on modern consoles. Barring that, it would be available to play in a playable form, whether we could buy it or not. My preference is to buy it, and because it officially supports the company that releases it. Obviously, hopefully then they provide like active servers and stuff like that for people to play on. And when I spoke to him, I said, hey, is there ever going to be any interest in getting 4 Ultimate out on like a PC or a Switch? Because as it is right now, 4 Ultimate is in this awkward position where the only place you could play it is on the 3DS.
On an emulator.
On an emulator or on a 3DS. I mean, you can get your 3DS hardware modded to do video out, but it's illegal in Japan to do that anymore. And the one guy that used to do it in the West doesn't really do it. So the ability to stream it is very limited. The way to play it is increasingly becoming limited because Nintendo's not making 3DSs anymore. So it's going to become more and more of a niche thing. So I said, hey, is there ever going to be interest in going back and releasing these things? And his response was essentially, our goal is really to support the new games coming out. So it's not that we will never see old games ever released again, but I can at least appreciate whatever honesty and candor is in that response, which is don't hold your breath.
100%. Honesty is the way to go. 100%.
Yeah,
Shepard,
I mean,
let me ask you a question. What do you think? Do you think we're getting a new MMO?
No.
Ever?
No.
Okay, don't be lie to me and say yes.
I don't think
honesty anymore.
No, I think we're going to get Sunbreak obviously next summer. Obviously, there's going to be a next generation Monster Hunter that's going to come out. Sure. That's going to probably have very seamless loading between zones. I don't know whether you would call it open world or not. Maybe that could be a cool gimmick they could try and put in there in some way. But in as much as releasing a main title and then a paid expansion afterwards, 12 to 18 months with a whole bunch of new cosmetic DLC that they can sell again, I think that's the model they're going to go for. That's 100% what I'm seeing.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Every 18 months, new game and or expansion, and then along the way, a bunch of new cosmetic stuff you can buy. That's it. I mean, the old games still exist outside of Frontier. I mean, you could play all of them well enough, just not perfectly, I mean, where I go as myself, because like I said, I do this full time and I want to be careful because I have a relationship with Capcom. I would love for there to be like a large community effort to try and really push out ways for people to play 4 Ultimate. But you start getting into really tricky things. Like I own the copy 4 times over. So for me to have ripped it and played it, it's legal in the United States. I don't know if it's legal everywhere. It's legal for me to be able to rip and play it on an emulator. But for other people to say, hey, how do I do this? How can I get this? I can't even buy a 3DS anymore. It's a challenge, piracy's out there. You never want to encourage piracy, but if somebody lives in a country where they don't even sell 3DSs, but they want to play the game, what are they supposed to do?
They can't do anything. Right.
Yeah, legally they can't do anything, and my thing is like, look, I will pay you guys $100, like up to $500 just to give me a version of the game that I could play and stream that looks good and is official. It's not at all an unwillingness to want to pay. It's just how the hell are we supposed to be able to do this? Because the emulators for you have gotten very good, but they are not perfect. They are not perfect at all. Weird performance issues or weird control issues, and it's a real shame because I love every single game in the series.
What about things like leaderboards, for example? Like things that in my mind I would like Capcom to come in and encourage, because those games are not dead by any means. If there's an active community for GU right now, right?
Sure, yeah.
If
GU is really active right now.
Well, even DOS. It doesn't matter how far back you go, you'll find a niche.
I mean, if you want to run a game, you want to submit a run, like nobody's gonna keep that away from you. I would have liked to see Capcom doing more active participation in encouraging tournaments and stuff like that. All I can say is there's nothing stopping anyone from doing it themselves. Like I've run tournaments. I was telling you the other day, like I've run 2 tournaments with 2 groups of predominantly Philippine streamers. It's crazy. Yeah, it was Dave J put up, I think it was like $1,500 for both tournaments.
Wait, what year was that? What year was that again?
That's good.
I think 2019 and then 2020 again, probably. I'd have to go back and check. Yeah, but a bunch of streamers got involved, and there's nothing to stop that. There's nothing stopping anyone from going out there trying to see if they could get other sponsors to put money or at lehave prizes in, and doing it. And even if there's not a prize pool, you might find that if you're just running a tournament anyways, that's great content. I'll put it to you this way: I have an agency now GG Talent Group, now part of Turbopium. My agent started this company about a year ago. His name's Eric Harper, and his original Twitch channel, McRaptor, his only thing that he really did is he organized tournaments between other Dark Souls speedrunners, and he would run these tournaments. I don't even know what the price pool would have been, $100 maybe. I don't think he had any budget. But it was, people came to watch because it was some of the best speedrunners around watching a tournament. He turned that and all those connections into a company, and now he's like doing really, really well for himself because he's created an agency basically from scratch based off of his experience running these tournaments. If you make something entertaining, people will come to watch it. If you've got connections with a lot of speedrunners, don't necessarily wait for Capcom to say, hey, we want to make a tournament, we want you to run it. Just run the damn thing. It's not going to stop you. Nobody's going to stop you.
Write that down, Retro. Write that down.
I am writing that down too, man. I'm writing it down. This is like a big eye opener.
Yeah, no, there's no, you can't wait. Basically, what you got to take from what Jono said, and it's not a bad thing, but you can't wait for Capcom to do for you what you want to do for yourself. Because you might get lucky, and maybe they will. You know, he does say they're always, listening. You know, if you leave comments on Twitter, say, hey, we'd love to see you guys run another tournament again, you could do that. But just run it yourself.
Yeah,
people will come. I promise you, people will watch. If you're doing something cool on the internet, people want to see it. If you're running a tournament, people will go.
I mean, there was one hosted in Iceborne from Capcom where Sam, you probably know Sam, and TSC.
Yeah, I was at that tournament. I got second there.
Oh yeah, well, for example, something like that. But from what I saw, not a lot of people can participate in something like that because it's hard.
So the physical in-location tournaments, if I can tell you, I mean, if that's all we have in NA, that is embarrassing. So for the 2018 tournament, they were struggling just to fill the number of teams because when they were organizing these Western tournaments, they're coming from the perspective of the tournaments that are done in Japan. And Monster Hunter is so popular in Japan, they do 4 regional tournaments, if not more, to then go down to the one main tournament in Tokyo, where then they have the main tournament breakdown to the very top winner. So they've got many teams, and they spend all their time practicing the preliminary match.
That is
crazy. They don't even practice the main match. They just practice the prelim because they don't want to get knocked out by the other guy that got a better time than them in the prelim to qualify for the top 8. In NA,
amazing.
Me and my other guys, all the people that were hanging out there for 2018 and 2020, we're walking around. We're seeing people like failing the quest in the prelims. Like they're not even getting past phase 1.
Oh my
God. Then if you go to Tokyo, everyone's like hardcore.
Oh no, you're out. Oof. No, I wouldn't have even made the prelims in any of those. No, I would doubt anyone that even got the first place team 2018 to first place 2020 would have gotten past the prelims. You talk to TSC and Sam, they'd probably say the same thing.
Do they have crazy? I just want to know if that's all pure passion, or maybe Capcom just placed like a big bounty on who the winner would be.
When I was winning the 2018 championship got us an invitation to go to the 2018 Dream Match, which was a tournament, an exhibition, really. They called it an exhibition between the top 5 teams in Japan, Taiwan, Korea, South Korea, Hong Kong, and the US. So 5 teams went there. And when I went there, I spoke to the Japanese team and I'm like, hey guys, I'm Shepard. I do full game speedruns. I do RTA. What do you guys do? Do you like RTA? They're like, no, arena time attack only.
Only, right.
Arena. Arena. Like Rathian with whatever gear they give you, time attack only. That's all they do. They play the game, they unlock the arena, and then that's it.
And they don't even finish the game. They just go there. Oh, we just go here.
They just finish base game, unlock your arenas. Like, all right, game over. Time to put in the hours against Rathian again.
Right. I love that. I look at them like entities. I don't know. I mean, love it.
Look, it's amazing for that very one thing, which is getting first place in Japan. Which, by the way, when I saw them win, they got a Rathalos statue and a case of energy drinks. You're not going to pay the bills winning Monster Hunter tournaments in Japan.
Right.
So as a content creator, all I would say is arena is fun, but I would not do arena time attack only. That is not going to be the path. Like, that's a cool thing to do, especially like if you got channel bets on, you're betting like, am I going to beat the time or not? You know, that's fun. But you can't do a streaming career of arena time attack only. I mean, people are going to get bored of that content
It's
eventually.
repetitive,
Yeah. It's going to be the same play, same equipment. You can't even theorize your strats and everything.
Right.
It's just a different setting.
Good to get one thing in, but it's not, it's a very specific niche skill set. I mean, you'll learn and do things that you wouldn't learn and do otherwise. They're figuring out tricks with the weapons and mechanics that we would never even think of. If you go back and you watch the 2018 Dream Match, their setup for the Lunastra fight was just crazy. The Korean setup for the fight against Basil was insane. They were doing like absolute gigabrain plays with like setting up lines of bombs and wyvern mines. It's like, it blows your mind just to even see it.
It does. And then like segue into staggers from Basil. And then did you see there were these two guys that did hammer, duo hammer?
That's Taiwan. Yeah, they did.
It was insane.
You know what it was, Retro? It was really fun because it really was like an exhibition. I mean, obviously, like, everybody wanted to win, but everybody showed off different skill sets in different ways, and it was really enjoyable to see.
Every single run was unique. You've hit the nail on the head. Like every run was like you were watching something different, unique, and exciting. And I had a smile ear to ear every run.
After the tournament, I saw Takuda, and he was just like so happy. Because, it's a mild controversy that there was in the Hong Kong tournament, they made the mistake of including Greatsword. And it was like 7 teams in a row just did like ledge Greatsword over and over again. And Ryozo just had the biggest like puss on his face, like, what is this garbage? What have you done to my game?
That's why they nerfed it.
And
that's why they nerfed it.
Well, it wasn't. Well, maybe that's why they nerfed it. It could be part of it. I'm sure he said something. But in the original announcement for the Dream Match, Greatsword was included after they had announced it. And then Hong Kong went. And then after Hong Kong, they said, actually, we're switching out the Greatsword for Longsword. They literally nerfed it. They actually changed the strategy for the quest midway through because of, like, we're not doing this. Like, there's no way. We're going to have this go on in an exhibition and have everybody doing ledge greatsword, because you would have, because you want to have the best time,
and you're butchering their game. You're butchering the game is essentially what you're doing. Is
it enjoyable to watch? That's really what it comes down to. When you've created a TA and the finished product is there, it's usually beautiful. But if it's just simple and repetitive, and you're not showing anything clever, is that entertaining? Low time is entertaining. People want to see something get completely demolished. There's entertaining things there. But for me, especially if it's gunning, I like to see the more the clever uses of things, like the clever use of ammo, the clever use of traps, the clever use of positioning, stuff like that. For me personally.
Right. Yeah. Well, and there's all these details that the developers put into the game, and they spend so long building this beautiful thing, and then you come in and just
it breaks down to, like, I'm going to do ledge greatsword, or I'm going to do nonstop zero-sum discharge with switch axe, which was a big issue with Iceborne. A huge issue with Iceborne. I remember my first playthrough, I was streaming it. Hex, one of the developers on the game, a former modder, actually got hired to work on the game, completely insane, came in and said, hey, how are you liking the game? I said, I love it, but can you do something about the zero-sum discharge? I don't think it's right. I don't think it's fun. I've got Rocksteady and Temporal Mantle, and I didn't necessarily.
What was his response to that?
He said, "I'll let them know." And this was right on release. Usually, you expect to see a balance patch, like we saw for Base World. We didn't get one. I will say this: I remember I just completed a full game speedrun, and I was riffing on the fact that they had like 8 weapon model designers for Iceborne, and I'm like, then how come we have like what feels like 14 unique weapon models? And he was in the chat there, again, developer in the chat. He says, I'll let them know. And I'm not taking credit for it, but the very next developer update, they said, we are introducing layered weapons. We're introducing layered weapons to Iceborne now. I'm not taking credit for it. I didn't say they already planned for it. But those are some ugly weapons, man. I hate the
In world,
an ass cheek on a bone weapon look. I do not like that at all. That does not fly for me. I've played the game all the way back, so the fun part about Monster Hunter is you play dress up, right? You might even in older games use a weapon not because it's even the best in slot, but because you like the way it looks. And there's no layered weapons back then. It's not the end of the world.
But yeah, the weapon designs are insane. I've experienced GU, not like the full GU because I was carried by my viewers. They actually carried me through. So every monster that I fought, it just dies. But I've seen the weapons. The weapon designs are really nice. Even the low tier ones, they all have the personality of the monster. Then I completely relate now when people are saying that in Monster Hunter world that weapon design sucks because you don't see it, especially in the iron, the bone, and nothing.
Yeah, and that's what happened during development. The initial plan was to have a modular design, kind of like the way augments are now in Iceborne. I think it was going to be even a step beyond that, where you're going to piece together individual weapons. You say, I want to add a Rathalos piece here, and I want to add another thing here. And at some point in development, they just couldn't get it to work. And then what we had from the weapon models and everything else like that is just like probably like 6 months before the release, like we got to scrap everything.
Right.
And then they just gave us what we got, which, my attitude is always like, I want them to continue to push and innovate, because you find out what works, you keep it, and then you get rid of the things that don't, right? Unfortunately, they decided to keep like whatever the freaking Kulu weapon design in Rise, which for the life of me, I can't figure out why. They say they want to continue to pay respect to the weapon designers of those games. I don't mind the way the bone weapons look or the ore looks, but the skin tied on to a thing is just that's just not for me.
There's a bit of it's anticlimactic, right? Because you have to work through a weapon tree upgrade, and then you get to the end, and it's like, wait a minute,
this is
exactly like it did, right? Right.
If it became the real weapon model at the very end, I mean, nobody would care. I would be fine. Like, you've earned the final weapon and what it looks like. I mean, ultimately, is it a big deal? PC allows us mods. Rampage weapons, I guess, technically allow layered anyways. And Rampage weapons are good enough, if not best in slot and Rise anyways. So it's really not that big.
Talking about Rise, Shepard, I've noticed you're not streaming it or World.
Why would
matter? Okay. Tell me.
Yeah, tell us the reason why. Tell us the reason why.
So I mean, I do speedruns, right? I've done a lot of speedruns, but like I said, when it comes to me streaming content, full-time content creator, my goal isn't to create a record for myself. It's cool if you make a record. Yeah, it's for entertainment. I want to entertain my viewers, and I've done hundreds of full game world speedruns. The Rise speedrun is a joke. The village run takes between 1 and 2 hours. 2 hours if you're really bad. 1, I guess. I could see them breaking that eventually. It's pretty close to an hour in the village. There's no tension there. The monsters just die. The hub run, you could do 1.0 narwhal run, but then you're looking at like 10 hours. I'd stream full time. I could make that work if I wanted to do a 10-hour speedrun regularly. Who knows? Maybe I will. Once I'm done with my next challenge. But that's a long time. And talking about cutscenes, you could skip the cutscenes. So that means like 10 hours of when do you use a bathroom? 10 hours.
Oh, yeah, that's going to be hard.
10 hours, when do you rest your hands?
The loading times are not that slow either. So
no, they're pretty quick.
You won't have any time to rest.
So it's Rise is in a rough place to be. In terms of like just playing Rise, like I play Rise casually, I guess. But like, is that entertaining? Like, what am I playing for? You want to see me dump more scales into a melding pot? Like, nobody cares. Nobody wants to watch that. So there's nothing for me to do in Rise, really. So yeah, I just got off a challenge where I was getting to all the credits in all the games. That was really cool. People got to see all the games. Now I'm doing a challenge where I'm fighting all of the monsters. Now it's cool. People get to see all the monsters in all the generations. That's cool too. I think that's good content. So that's why I'm
weapon swapping or sticking with one.
For the most part, we're trying to stay with one weapon per game, per run. And that gives me an opportunity to really get really familiar and really comfortable with the weapon. For example, like I don't think I ever really understood dual blades in 3rd generation. I think a lot of people don't understand dual blades in 3rd generation. They think it's take a mega dash juice and just demon dance all day long. But that's completely wrong. That's not necessary at all. There are other buttons. There are other attacks that the dual blades have that do not involve pressing, triangle and circle and doing a demon dance. And I think that's really amazing. And if I hadn't done this challenge, I would never have figured that out. So Really
But
good weapon, really interesting weapon.
It's same in WoW. People think it's all about blade ends, but you have like smaller openings where you can't blade ends, and you have
Exactly.
stamina management. And they added that arc demon mode, which if you fill the bar, you go out of demon mode to recharge your stamina,
Right.
but you can do as much damage and different combos.
Absolutely, yeah. And the mini demon dance is more than fine. If you've got your demon gauge and you've got that opening for a mini demon dance, like go for it, because it's fine.
Yeah.
People disrespect the dual blades so much. I used to be one of them. Honestly, I have to apologize. I've said some harsh things about dual blades in the past. I was wrong, so I will stand corrected on that. But even going back to third gen, it is not throw on a dash juice and just demon dance all day. It's not the case.
I think that applies to most weapons. Like for example, heavy bowguns, people also see it. Oh, hold down R2.
Right.
And they don't see the ammo management, that you have to kill a monster without to restock and all that stuff, the positioning.
Right.
And if you're not yourself invested in the weapon or interested to see the difference, you're not gonna see it, and you're gonna come up with that stereotypes of just
I mean,
down one button.
And some streamers are, I mean, some of us content creators are responsible. You know, I mean, you see people waddling in with scope, shield 5, spread 3, heavy bowgun.
That's a cheesy way out, but not the optimal.
Right.
For example,
It's not necessarily the best way, but when people see it, like that's the stereotype. That's the stereotype of the weapon.
Well, and speedrunners don't help. IL speedrunners like myself, individual level speedrunners, don't help because you optimally find ways to spam the highest DPS combos, and you create a scenario, a circumstance where you can do that.
Right.
But you have to actively create that. So in a dynamic setting, like a multiplayer setting or just a full game speedrun, you that's what makes this game wonderful, in my opinion, is that you can literally spend 100 hours on a weapon and still not get to know it.
Right. No, I mean, you may never. You may never.
Right,
I mean, who among us can say we ever truly understood the weapon, right?
Well, it happens still to this day.
Yeah.
You're literally, or me personally, I'm 4,000 uses, 5, 6, 7,000 uses into almost everything, and every now and again you still find
Something
little
new.
details,
and that's in one game, right? That's not even going back to. That's not even going back to the PlayStation 2
combat game in the world. This is the best third-person combat game in existence right now. Is Monster Hunter World Iceborne. Period. That is it. It is the best. There is no better game for combat.
I agree.
I think.
No, you are right. The game is disgusting, because I had somebody asking me the other day, hey, do you ever get tired of Monster Hunter? And I said, I wish I did. Because the problem is you play so much Monster Hunter, you go to play another game, you're like, this game sucks. I don't want to play this game. This game doesn't have the same attention to combat that I want,
I mean,
it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist anywhere else. It doesn't.
It says a lot that it hooked up new players. For example, this is my first game, and I played 7 years of Call of Duty since 2013, 10 years almost. And I tried Monster Hunter, and it got me hooked. I'm playing since 3 years only Monster Hunter every single day, every second day.
Yeah. It's a I'm glad I have it, but it is screwed up.
It actually made me a better gamer. Speedrunning the whole.
I'm sure.
Speedrunning
Absolutely.
Monster Hunter, because before, when I was playing these action games, I wasn't looking for a pattern. I wasn't looking for how the AI would react to you. But since it's content drought now, I mean, there's nothing new coming in Monster Hunter wise. You get Monster Hunter Stories 2 content and maybe some bad event quests in Rise. So I dipped in the other games, and I completely see it. The other people are having a hard time, but then you're seeing the patterns really fast because of the game that you played before. And I got that from Monster Hunter, and that's really nice. And I agree with the depth thing, because I was trying to fill the void when you're trying to transfer to another game, and it doesn't get filled. I mean, I haven't tried Dark Souls yet. Have you guys played Dark Souls?
There's a huge community out there of people that will just suck up any Dark Souls content that you'll do.
But did you finish a Dark Souls game, Shepard?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I was playing goddamn Kingsfield on the goddamn PlayStation, which is in the same lineage as Dark Souls. I got a PlayStation 3 just to play Demon's Souls and get Ad Hoc Party to play Freedom Unite. I played the series. The only game I haven't finished is Dark Souls 3, and I just keep bouncing off it for some reason. It's not because I can't beat it, it's just because I get bored or whatever. but I've done Dark Souls 1, I've done Dark Souls 2. All the DLC is actually really good. Dark Souls 2 gets crapped on, but it's a fine game. Some guy on the internet made a video that said Dark Souls 2 is a bad game, and then everybody's like, Dark Souls 2 bad game. But it's not a bad game. I mean, especially the DLC is really well done, and the outside of one area, like it's fun to go through. I'd say do it. If you're gonna stream it, maybe add an extra challenge to it, just so people have something that they can invest in, other than just like, hey, watch me play Dark Souls. Say like, hey, watch me play Dark Souls and this. Not necessarily like hit list, but maybe you do no healing, maybe you do no upgrading or whatever. Something like that might be fun to watch.
This is really giving me a lot of ideas on how to, up the streaming game, because I do have a question. Have you streamed Monster Hunter just doing open lobbies? Just open lobby streamed.
Absolutely. When sieges are up and stuff like that, or if there's new content out or there's something challenging, people want to clear their extremith and stuff like that. When Fatalis drops or when Elatrion drops and stuff like that. Those are all excellent times to do open lobbies and have people come in and clear the content, because it's challenging and people want to see it get done and people just want to get involved. And that's a great way to get people involved and do things. But if it's, Saturday, 6 months after Monster Hunter Rise dropped, you're like, hey, watch me do an open lobby, and it's like 4 people light bowgun shooting narwhal to put scales into a pot and see what comes out the other end. Nobody wants to watch that. I'm sorry, nobody wants to watch that. I mean, if you are charming, entertaining, beautiful, maybe you're going to promise to show them your butthole at the end of the stream. Maybe they'll stick around, but you have people clicking on your stream, and they, at the very least, you're keeping them company, but ideally you're giving them some sort of entertainment that's better than whatever's on Netflix, which is not hard, by the way. Netflix is a very low bar for you to beat. It's a very low bar for anyone to beat. You just got to be better than Netflix.
I use Netflix to fall asleep at night.
Yeah, my entire attitude towards streaming, I don't think for a second when I do anything really about, if I'm going to get a sub or somebody's going to donate or a bounty or anything like that. My attitude has always just been, how can I make this a good stream that makes people want to watch it? And I'm full-time. So that's always been my goal is there something that I could be doing different on my stream that could make it better for people to want to come in and hang out? Because you can't do it. You can't be a content creator if you don't have an audience. There's nobody wants to be a part of that. And so if your end goal is always, how can I best serve the people that allow me to do what I'm going to do? Usually you'll go there. When you first start streaming, you're like, oh, I'll play this, I'll do that game, I'll put some variety on, I'll have an open lobby, we'll put music on, we'll chill stream. Like, no. I mean, I'm not saying you can't have one of those every once in a while. I'm not saying you can't have variety every once in a while, but you should find out what you're really good at and lean into that, The thing is, for me, I like streaming Monster Hunter, not just because I like Monster Hunter, not just because I'm good at Monster Hunter. It allows me to turn off one part of my brain and then turn the other part on that focuses on just engaging with my chat and talking to them. It's a problem even now. I had a sponsored stream for some MMO yesterday. You're trying to play a new game, you're trying to figure out what you need to do, you need to figure out what buttons you're pushing, and you stop talking because you don't, because you're thinking, you're trying to optimize and analyze the game, and you have to realize there's people watching you just like doing your gamer gunch.
Yeah.
Trying to figure out what I'm doing or how I'm gonna analyze things. Like some guy breathing in mic, like I guess we'll do this thing.
You're gonna go to chat. I'm sorry, didn't see you there. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, guys. I was really trying to figure out my GPS rotation. Again, it's fine. It's okay a little bit, but at least when I play Monster Hunter, I've got 11. Way so much time. I don't even think about what I'm doing in the monster. I'm just evading through things like automatically. It's instinct, so then I'm able to focus entirely on engaging my chat and talking to them and stuff like that. And that's a problem from, a low number to a mid-tier number. Some streamers, you get to a certain large number of people in your chat, they entertain themselves. You don't even do anything.
Yeah.
That's just bizarre. I don't understand
I can think
that.
of one right now. that doesn't even doesn't have a mic, right?
No, mine doesn't. They just play the game and the chat's just entertaining themselves.
Right.
I pray to God I never find that level of success because that just seems kind of lame. But you know, if you're still up and coming, and I would absolutely put myself in the place of still up and coming. That's the sort of thing that I want to make sure I'm doing, is that I'm creating a good stream. Your community matters a lot as well. So, you know, how you engage your community, your Discord, what goes on in your Discord, you know, because, you know, you may only stream, you stream 8 hours a day. That's a lot of stream. That's still 16 hours that you've got people hanging out in and around your stream. Your Discord and stuff like that.
I've lurked in your streams before, not just recently now since we started organizing this podcast, but further back, right? Going on maybe 2-3 years, every now and again, I'll lurk in your stream.
Just leave it up 24 hours a day. Actually, I would prefer that. That's pretty dedicated to me. I'm okay. I'll take your permanent view.
For sure. I'll do that. But what I'm getting at is that you have a really active. How do you say, chat? Is that the right way to say it?
Yeah, it's pretty active chat. Sure, yeah.
Very, very active chat. More so than well, you have 300-400 people at any given time. So
sometimes
the chat is just flying. How do you keep up with that? How do you keep up with?
I play Monster Hunter. I turn my brain off and I just focus on my chat.
Yeah, because he does the full game. He does the full game.
Just full smooth brain for the game, and then everything else goes to engage.
Well, yeah, because the game is instinctive. It's like instinctive at this point.
Yep, you get to the point where there. You know, I mean,
that's memory.
Yeah,
for everyone in this voice call right now, it's instinctive. The game, so that makes perfect sense.
Yeah,
makes perfect sense.
No, but
you know, like the monster's down, you're doing your combo. You can take your eyes off of the game. Even just hold your inputs. You know, because you know there's another 5 seconds before the monster gets off. You
exactly. No, I mean, literally, I'll be like mid, like Big Bang. I'll just start looking over, take a sip of my coffee, chat to people like, hey, how's it going?
For sure.
Yeah.
Duo blades are amazing for that. You just
well, no matter what happens, I've already committed to this demon dance. Let's see what's going on in chat.
Right.
Yeah.
But the magic that I'm seeing there is because me, Shepard, I got used to streaming on Twitch. The reason why I went to Switch is so that I can just play with my viewers from YouTube.
Sure.
So it's not really speedrunning or speedrunning the full game. It's to generate this connection with them. So the whole time, my whole time on Twitch is just me streaming open lobbies. So I started when Safiji was just out. And then after that, like you said, when it died down, the hype died down, I did experience that decrease in viewers, that decrease in attention. And from what you're saying right now, I'm able to pick up that the way you did it. See, I get your point about that instinct, wherein you can look at the chat and you won't die. So in open lobbies, you can also do that. But the magic thing that I see there is, since you do a full game run, even newcomers would still be in awe. You know, what's going to happen next? What's he going to do here? As compared to an open lobby, they know this guy has a YouTube channel. He made a build. I know what build he's using. I know it's going to happen. He's just doing that. You took advantage of that they can be just lurking and just watching you go through the full game, and they can interact with chat and also interact, and you can interact with them easily. That's okay. That's good.
Yeah.
That's
really
good.
You know, and I'm not saying necessarily, you know, a path forward is just to start doing full game world speedruns. It could be any Monster Hunter title doing a full game speedrun, or it could just be the Monster Hunter you feel the most comfortable with doing something special or unique in there. A challenge I did before the all credits challenge was getting high in master rank. I got to put that up on YouTube. Which was a challenge of getting through Fatalis, all of master rank using only high rank gear. You know, and that's something that's different that people haven't seen before. Now there have been individual videos uploaded.
They kill Fatalis with high rank gear, but
I
not
remember
the whole
I've seen
game.
videos they killed Fatalis with high rank gear, or they killed Fatalis without it. God, who was it? Peppo? Maybe Peppo did that.
Peppo did a.
Yeah,
Peppo did that.
Peppo also did a no weapon run. Like
he did no weapon run.
Bombs.
Yeah, so you know, obviously Peppo probably could do a full challenge run like that himself if he wanted. I'm sure. He just hasn't. So I thought, I'll give it a shot. And you know what? And here's the thing: even if he did, don't let the fact that somebody did something first stop you from doing it. You may never be able to capture the same lightning in the bottle for the first guy that did a speed run for Monster Hunter World, but maybe that guy's not doing it anymore. Maybe there's a lot of people that still want to see that run. Or maybe people just love the idea of seeing high rank gear in master rank. Or maybe people want to see the idea of a naked master rank. You know, just, you know, it's scary when you're making content because you're always worried, if I'm going to put this challenge on myself, what if I fail? And it's true. You might fail, But part of the fact that you could fail and you're going to be vulnerable in that is that in and of itself is what makes it interesting. That's what makes people want to engage and watch that, because it's different. It's not just the lowest stake thing possible. The worst thing that could happen is they triple cart and they lost 5 minutes of their life. Who cares? Right? Who cares? The gradual buildup of tension as I approached Fatalis, and it was like a 13-hour stream where it took for me to kill him. That's a huge occasion, right? That's insane. Like, oh my God, is he actually going to be able to do it? We know it's possible, but is it possible for him? I don't know. They had to watch the stream and follow along to find out. And that's just about making content better.
Have you ever had like a challenge wherein, like you said to your stream, oh, we're going to do this challenge. But then again, while trying to achieve that challenge, you failed so many times that you just, no, I'm laying this challenge down. I'm not going to do this. Has that ever happened or no?
I almost never kill a speedrun. I have killed speedruns, but I almost never kill them. Maybe 1 out of 100 or maybe 1 out of 200 will die for whatever reason. Like if I triple carded it like a Xenojiva or something like that, which you don't want to cart.
So there was never, so there was never a challenge that you quit. Like midstream, like for example, when the stream is starting,
you know, I don't want to sound like big, cool, tough guy. Like Shepard never steps down from a challenge, but I can't recall one. I mean, you could try individual things, like, you know, try to arm wrestle the guy in the barrel in Dose. If you think you're cool, like that guy's.
You think you're cool.
You think you're cool, like you haven't met this guy yet. This shipwright, Jesus Christ. People have broken controllers on him before. I beat him a couple times.
So there's none. So I'm just trying to ask because, you know, maybe I come up with this challenge that I say to the stream, I'm gonna do this. Then mid challenge, I'm like, oh shit, it's never gonna happen. It's never. Yeah,
this will never happen. You know, you have to make the call on that. But all I'll say is that you would have been better, and your chat would have been better entertained. You attempted it, and put the effort in, than to have never done it at all. Right? You know, like I said, I mean, and even like it goes through everything. Like part of comedy is taking risks. You can tell a joke and it falls completely flat, and you just look like an idiot, right? You know, you got to put yourself out there.
This is an entirely new perspective for me. I'm seeing what the chat is saying, because sometimes when I stream, they're saying, Bata, when all melee LBG full game speedrun when? And I'm like, you could do that. Are you kidding? See, and then you're saying you can do that. But for me, yeah, in my brain, it's like, that's a waste of time.
Low rank, it's actually almost ideal. Honestly, the ideal upgrade path, by the way, would be go bear off to Odo if you had to do like a light bowgun run. Then you're going to do it normally. That's for you, Retro, if you're going to do it. I don't know if you're going to do it.
Oh, why? Because Odo's high crit, right? Odo.
It's actually the damage per second using rapid normal 2 with the Odo gun actually finally starts to pull ahead of just punching things.
Right. Okay.
That's why.
Okay, which I am going to do, by the way.
So that's Odo, LBG.
Bear off to Odo. So you need to get lucky on your bear off. You need to get tails, I think. And then Odo, you need to get whatever. I think you might even need Hornitar parts. I can't remember.
I'm going to DM you, Shepard, for some tips on full game. Because I'm
open, man. I don't mind. Like, I'm not sharing the secret sauce. Like I said, I feel like everybody can do well. The better content out there, the more people want to get involved in it. Because think about it this way. Dark Souls had a huge presence with a lot of people doing challenge runs and speedrunning it. Do you think a person that watches Squillakilla do like a hitless run wouldn't want to go over and watch somebody else, like Farazkhan, do his own hitless run? No, they're going to watch both of them, right? They're going to be engaged in both of their contents. So the more people out there...
And if you look at Dark Souls... that you could reference that as the potential to grow for World.
Absolutely.
Or when I say World, I mean
Monster Hunter in general. Just go down the list. Absolutely. Yep.
The potential here is it's untapped. Basically, we're opening the door. We're on the first step. You look up. There's 1,000 steps still ahead. There's
if you think about it, yeah. World is basically. God, I hate this. Oh my God, nobody quote me on this. World is basically Dark Souls. Oh God, I hate it. Oh, I hate it. I thought it and I said it. It sounded even worse. But World is Dark Souls in the sense of that people are finally aware that From Software makes video games, right? Nobody was really playing Demon Souls. Certainly nobody was playing Kingsfield in any major way, right? It was only really when Dark Souls came out, people started doing challenge runs, Dark Souls 2, Dark Souls 3, that it really got momentum. And and in some way, it hit the right time at the right place because that's what was popular on Twitch in the very beginning of Twitch. And so that all built up in that way. But, you know, in that sense, Monster Hunter is just starting to get its first real purchase. Like you guys said, you guys are all fivers.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
And even then, though, Retro, for whatever drug-induced reason, says his favorite game is Monster Hunter Frontier. That means there are people out there that want to go back and see other Monster Hunter content other than Monster Hunter World.
100%. Yes.
You know? So, yeah.
I mean, and it's sad because I remember back in the day, I was like, I heard of Monster Hunter, but I never tried it because I always thought to myself, oh, it's just a ripoff of like Pokemon or something like that.
That's a hot take. That's
yeah. And
that is so far away. Rip off of Pokemon.
It is, but that just shows how kind of disconnected I was actually from what the game was. You know what? And I remember,
you're not wrong, right? That's what you thought. So that was a failure in Monster Hunter somewhere.
That's my you hit the nail on the head again. That was my point. That's unfortunate. It's unfortunate because they have something that's amazing, and there I was owning the games, having like I own like 3 of them, and they're in a little box where my 3DS games are, and owning them, I never got around to playing them because I always thought, well, it's just like a, you know, some kind of Digimon or Pokemon kind of thing. So I just never did it. And then I remember sitting at home and my phone rings and it's a buddy of mine. He goes, look, you have to try this. I said, what? He says, this is the most amazing game I've ever played. I said, what is it? He said, it's Monster Hunter. And I said, really? I've touched it like barely. And I bought a PS4, never looked back. And I'm like 17,000 hours in between PS4 and PC.
I need to go back and like count the hours from release. So you just never turn it off?
Well, it's just I guess I
you just need to turn that.
Remember, you touched on drugs.
You just need to leave it. You just need to turn that from Monster Hunter. If you, whatever device you got 17,000 hours on, put it on my stream instead.
Right. But yeah, that's unfortunate, man. But no more. Yeah. World broke the ice.
Yeah, and I think the next gen Monster Hunter, whatever it is, Monster Hunter 6, whatever you want to call it, after Rise, and maybe Rise will get like a little bit of a bump because it's coming out on PC, but it's really not next gen, right? I mean, none of us are going to say Rise is next gen.
Yeah,
it's a good game. No. It's good evolution. It's got its own problems, but whatever, it's fine. But whatever the next thing that's coming out is going to be huge. And just think about where you're going to be when that happens.
Huge.
You know, where are you going to position yourself in terms of your content, what you're putting out there, what you're doing personally, so that when that next big wave comes along and all of the Destiny players decide they want to play Monster Hunter instead, are like, you know, what have you done to get yourself ready for that?
That's a complete eye opener. Everything, all these conversations, I like it because right now that we don't have any new Monster Hunter game yet, I was considering branching out to other games, but hearing you talk about it, Shepard, and also your changes in conversation with Retro, made me rethink that I really haven't touched Monster Hunter World that much yet. Like, there's a lot of things left to discover. There's a lot of content, but for me, like before this podcast, I was thinking there's zero content to cover. But now, seeing you talk about it, and your way for streaming and everything. It opened a lot of gates. It opened a lot of doors for me.
I mean, it's the hardest road to run, at least on Twitch and maybe even on YouTube. Is I'm just going to be every other variety Andy. I'm just going to play whatever variety game that comes up, because here's all I'm going to say is like, you know, and like, this is not insulting anyone. This is me too. So for myself, like, am I the funniest guy on this platform? Am I the best looking guy on this platform? Do I have words of wisdom? Am I giving away $100 gift cards every stream? Or whatever, you know, what value am I providing if I just decide to play a different game every stream? And a part of that comes down to your audience as well. So say you are all of those things, there's a certain value in streaming something somewhat consistently in that not only do you get better, my thumb's disappearing again. You know, your viewers get comfortable watching a thing. You know, some people are turning into your stream to relax. And as stressful as it is for you to learn and play a new game on the stream, can be as stressful for your audience watching you play a new game and try to learn it as well. Because it's not just you learning it, right? oh, how do I push this button? What do I do? What are the combos here? Whatever. Your audience has to do the same thing. And for them, they're like, well, Bot is not an expert at this game. He seems confused and I don't know what's going on. I'll just watch something else.
True.
One of my very
Makes
favorite
sense.
streamers in the world is Jorbs. He plays Slay the Spire. I barely play Slay the Spire. I like to watch Jorbs a lot because he plays Slay the Spire. He's really good at it. I'll watch him play other games, absolutely, but he gets hit just like everyone else does when he plays variety, and that suddenly he's no longer an expert in the game. He's just a guy that plays it. You may love him and you watch him, and you'll have people that will say, oh, Bada or oh, Shepard, I'll watch everything you play. But your viewership, your audience, you have these circles. These concentric circles that branch out. So you've got the people like Retro because he leaves a computer turned to my stream 24 hours a day. But if I hit the go live button, I will show up on his desktop immediately. And I could be streaming myself just sleeping. That actually might get people watching, whatever. I can get a black screen, Retro will watch it anyways. And maybe Shepard will show up. So that's your first circle. Anything you stream, those people will watch. You go a little bit outside of that. Anything Monster Hunter related. As long as Bada is playing Monster Hunter, I'm going to watch that. You get the people that say something interesting is happening in Monster Hunter. He's actually doing a challenge. Those people will watch that. And then the very widest one is new Monster Hunter game is out. I'm going to see what Bada is doing with a light bowgun, and I'll watch him then. And your goal as a streamer, as an entertainer, is to be so good and provide so much value with your content that you move people more and more so that you're going to be like Retro and you're going to have a computer turned to my stream 24 hours a day.
Well, I heard
and that's on you.
Promise of a butthole.
Yeah, and there's always, they met the goal. They gave me 50 subs one day, so it is contractually obligated. Twitch staff has told me that I should show it and stay wholesome, so that's there. Right. But so I mean that's my feeling. So I don't, I didn't know necessarily I was going to be on this podcast today. I was going to talk a lot about content creation, but as content creators and people in general, I feel like have just this mystique about content creators and what we do and what we talk about and why we stream and how we stream and all these things. I think these things are important to talk about because having an attitude of creating better content at the end of the day is only ever going to be better for the people that want to watch it anyways. All we're saying is we want to do better.
Yeah, and if you do it enough and get good at it, you can eventually get yourself a really pretty apartment like the one that's behind you.
Oh, it's just, the $1 million. I mean, it does sometimes cut my cost an arm and a leg, so...
Right.
It reminds me of that Back to the Future effect. What happens?
Yeah.
But totally. This is a real great help. I really appreciate it, Shepard.
And it's good to see you under this light, right? Which is maybe a lot of your viewers who are hopefully watching this now haven't seen you in this light.
Yeah, I mean, I've been on some shows before. The talent group I'm a part of did a couple streams on a Friday where they would come in and talk about stream analysis and stuff like that. And I talk about a lot about this one content creator called Devin Nash.
I watch a lot of those videos.
So you get it. So his main thing is always just like, what value are you providing? What are you doing that makes it worth watching? And I don't think there's anything sad or shameful. It's not it's not like oh, I'm gonna be the next drama streamer and always keep bringing up drama. Like you're thinking about what are ways that you can actually make a better environment, a better stream for your viewers.
For sure.
That is good.
Right.
Do you have any content questions, Deva, for that, Shepard?
What question?
No,
for what?
No, for Twitch. Aren't you planning to go to Twitch or just?
Yeah, I plan, but I'm lazy. Okay, that's one thing, and second, it's hard for me to have a schedule. That's why I focus more on the YouTube thing, because YouTube, there is gonna be an update, and that's where you have to push once because that's when all the views come in, and then you can relax again and take it slower. But on Twitch, you're obligated to stream because you have to see it as a job, right? Like the guy is probably waiting there that you will turn on your stream in like 5 minutes because
there's possibly somebody in my chat right now saying where's Shepard. It's very possible.
Is this your usual streaming schedule? I assume so. Right?
I've been moving my schedule around a little bit somewhat recently. I started to move it a little bit earlier in the day to kind of help the EU people a little bit more. I sometimes think about moving it back a little bit earlier just to make it a little bit easier on the people that are in Asia.
It's also a challenge balancing the time where you stream, right? Hitting 2 time zones.
The thing is if you're a full-time Twitch streamer, you probably really like streaming. The challenge isn't streaming enough. The challenge is streaming too much, and taking time away and actually relaxing and being refreshed and having a happy family and then taking care of yourself. Like
I'm afraid of streaming. I'm afraid of failure to not entertain the people. That's my main issue, I think.
That's a good fear. That's actually, I respect it. Because, you know, like I said, you don't want to be the next guy, you know, breathing heavily into a mic, having, you know, open lobbies, rapid fire, piercing Narwa, because that sucks.
But I feel so offended.
Because everything that he's saying, even at the start of the podcast, saying, you know, it might be the fault of the content creators, you know, spamming Shield 5 with special scope on the monster, and I'm like, that's my bread and butter though. But
I know.
You know, I mean, I was like, that's my bread and butter.
Some people will watch it, right? Some people just care about that very end last time. I got into a mild debate on Twitter once. It involved some sort of TA thing or something where it was talking about somebody who's complaining about their time. And I'm like, hey, you know, is the thing that we really need to be worried about here is, you know, the time, you know, shouldn't they be focusing more on entertainment? And the person in question was like, well, some of these speedrunners, the only way they will ever get recognized is if they get a world record time for a certain weapon. And to a very small, certain, select, specific event, yes, a speedrunner who gets a world record with a certain weapon on a certain monster, or maybe a certain RTA run with a certain weapon, could get you on the map in some way. My question is what's next? You do it once. Do you beat that time with that weapon on that monster? Do you go against another monster and do that? You know, what are you going to stream when you feel like you're done doing TA or you can't improve anymore, or there's always somebody better? You know, you have to. That
there
sort
should
of
be a
content is
follow-up.
great.
Yeah, there should be a
I
follow-up.
don't think it should be your entire brand and identity, right? The only thing I can do is do arena time attack only. You know, you have to be able to be a little bit more versatile in the sort of things that you do. Because like at the same time, like I said, you know, people, it's nice to focus on one thing in general because people can get comfortable with that sort of content. At the same time, you don't want to be so specific that it just dries up. You know, like, oh, I only do Sword and Shield, Iceborne add-on speedruns. And it's just like watching me, you know, grab pods and Slinger Burst nonstop a million times.
I mean,
go ahead.
Yeah, it's for everyone the question of how much do you want to grow? Like some people want to grow and some speedrunners want to have those 10 people that watch them, but those 10 people appreciate what they're doing, right?
Oh, absolutely.
And it's all a question of like how much publicity do you want? Do you care about publicity, or do you want to have the fastest time and have that recognition of that 10 or 50 specific people, right?
Yeah.
But it's safe to assume that speedrunning, in that sense of single monster speedruns, is definitely not and never gonna work out unless you have a banger run. Which
and even if you have the banger run, like when is that run dropping?
Yeah.
Let's say you got the best possible Narwa TA run in the world tomorrow with I don't know, Switch X. Cool.
But it's not gonna.
And it takes you
then the time. It's not gonna matter when it drops.
Yeah, it's you know,
right?
it's October of 2021. Like if it were March or April, it might matter. Does it matter now? And don't get me wrong. Like I don't want everyone to think like I'm just like, you know, callous cash streamer just in it for the views and get the money. Like you guys said, I've been making content since 2010. I didn't make any money off of any of this until like 2017, 2018 is probably when I got like a real first subscription.
That's quite the grind.
2017.
Quite the grind.
Well, because like
but was your goal to make money? Like back
there was no money back then. There was zero money.
No
right?
ads.
There was
no ads whatsoever.
I don't think
there was no community,
like,
but that didn't exist. There was no
I don't think I even had like YouTube partnership, the ability to run ads until like 2014 or 2015. And even then it was like, what was it? Nothing. Certainly nothing that you would live on. You know, something that might show up in your bank account. Like, oh, cool, I made $100 after 4 or 5 months. That's neat.
Well, like before World, but in 18, Monster Hunter wasn't on the map in the West. It didn't exist. It basically didn't exist. So imagine how niche it was for gamers, and then imagine even more how reduced that niche is for content creators.
Yeah, my
Like the
only
gaming niche was reduced. The content creation niche was inexistent. Like it just didn't. There was 7 people uploading, and one of them is in your voice chat now.
yeah. My
Mm.
goal was selfish, but not selfish in the way that you probably think. My goal was I wanted this game to be popular, so more people would buy it, so Capcom would localize and release games sooner. I literally just wanted to see like Portable Third released with an English translation and Monster Hunter 4 released with an English translation and Monster Hunter Cross or Generations released with an English translation as quickly as possible. Literally, my only goal is I want to play these games, and I know some Chinese and I can muddle through the skills, but I'd rather play it in English. That's it. That is all I wanted.
Yeah.
I can resonate with that so hard. Like that's why I'm in this stream now. That's why I think more people should go to the events if any more are held in the States. I want this community to grow.
I mean, I think it's good, dude. I think after World, like, don't worry about it. Day and date release from here on out.
I think so.
Like, we're gonna be fine. But it was up in the air, you know, and it was hard when your goal was to see the game get popular and released in the West, and for there to be like multiple delayed releases. And like, I don't blame Capcom. Like, it's not common knowledge, but the amount of text to translate and localize in a Monster Hunter game is like more than like a Dragon Warrior, like a full-length RPG, because all those goddamn villagers wandering around the village, they've all got different crap to say, and somebody's got to translate that from Japanese, and it's a lot of work, you know?
Right.
So I've always said, like, I wish they would pare down that village experience just to get releases out a little bit faster, a little bit sooner. But apparently there's this particular type of gamer in Japan, and they love the idea that they have like the equivalent of 3 novels of wandering around talking to villagers and villagers.
Right. I don't get it.
I'm not joking. No, like their whole thing is like, man, I loved Grandia because, you know, every village had at least 3 sets of dialogue before the boss fight, right before the boss fight, and right after the boss fight.
But that's I wouldn't even say that's just cultural too. That's a completely different viewpoint from the moment you start the console. Like it's just different.
Yeah.
It's just the approach is different. Everything's different there.
Yeah, so it's funny, but that was a major block, and we got close. Like we ran a campaign, we ran a publicity push for Monster Hunter Portable Third. It was really funny. The community manager back then was Snow. I was like, hey man, what do we need to do to get Portable Third released? And he's like, if you could get people going to like our Twitter and our Capcom Unity forums, that'd be great. And so I started ordering these copies of Monster Hunter Portable Third and giving them away on my YouTube channel and saying like, an entry, every post in this thread on the Capcom Unity forums will get you an entry in a thread. And we had like 2,000 new people posting there. And he was like freaking out. He's like, this isn't what we wanted. Just 2,000 frothing fans on the Capcom Unity forums begging for Monster Hunter Portable Third to come out.
And this is the time wherein you weren't getting revenue from YouTube, right?
0 revenue.
Damn, and you were giving out free stuff. It's all fueled by passion. Yeah.
I put up a referral link for people to buy Monster Hunter Portable Third. And when I got enough credit from Play Asia to buy another copy of Monster Hunter Portable Third, I redeemed the credit to get another copy and I gave it away.
That's nice.
That was how I sponsored it.
Nice.
I was just a normal guy back then. I was just working a normal job. I was like a junior loan clerk at a credit union. You know, I wasn't making big bucks, you know. Small local credit union, just making tiny. I mean, it wasn't bad money. I mean, I was able to live, but like I wasn't going to be able to like throw like Mr. Beast parties and stuff like that.
Sure.
Mr. Beast is big. This is giving me like like a lot of ideas, a surge of ideas, because you were expanding there when you started. Because the thing is, the Monster Hunter community here in the Philippines, you don't really feel it. I've been to Gaijin's podcast, and he was saying that there is really a Monster Hunter community here in the Philippines, but you don't feel the presence. You won't even feel it on Twitch. Like I don't know that much Filipino streamers there on Twitch, and most of them are on Facebook, but they don't really generate numbers. But I think the fan base really exists. And you were mentioning that there were Filipino streamers that you were competing with.
Ran a tournament, two tournaments exclusively for pretty much Filipino streamers.
Are they Twitch? Are they Twitch or Facebook or you?
They're all Twitch streamers. Yep. Mm-hmm.
I've never heard of them. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they mostly do variety. What this guy would do is he would sponsor these tournaments for them to compete in. He had a number of Filipino streamers that he liked. And he would sponsor a tournament that would be like, hey, prize pool is going to be $1,500. Learn a speed run and then do the speed run in a tournament. And then you'd pay it out accordingly.
Oh, but they're not
but
like
honestly,
they're not
but
Monster Hunter exclusive streamers. They're not.
No, not necessarily. No.
I see.
Yeah, they're
I
mostly
see.
variety streamers. One of them actually really blew up. Siren ended up getting into GTA RP, and she's huge now. So I mean, good for her. Happy for her.
Right.
GTA role playing is kind of big on Twitch, right? Yeah.
I mean, look, if you want, I don't want to say an easy way out. If you could get lucky enough in the big categories, you can go that way.
Yeah.
And the big streamers get really big when they do that. Moon grew huge when he would do his GTRP. He was getting like 50, 60,000. But at a certain point in the day, like if you're making your ends meet, streaming full time in the game that you're doing, like why would you want to suffer doing something that you necessarily don't want to do? Like if I was personally passionate about role playing a guy selling cheeseburgers in GTA, maybe I would do it and just try to follow my passion. But I like playing Monster Hunter, so
yeah. Oh, it works. Yeah.
I mean, this is what I want to do. Like, I never intended to do it full time. It's just at a certain point, I was doing it 40 hours a week because I liked doing it. And then I was able to start paying the bills with it. Not full on, but, I took a risk when I first started and it worked out.
That is a big risk. Yeah.
And I've never really pushed anyone. Like for like maybe a couple months, I had like a sub goal and then I just got rid of it. I used to have like text to speech on donations. I got rid of text to speak donations. My feeling is if just by creating content, I'm able to exist with occasional sponsored streams. Like I will take those because the effort to risk to reward and everything else like that is minuscule compared to everything else. That's fine. If someday, Monster Hunter sucks, nobody wants to watch it anymore, I'll go get a day job or something.
I see.
But it's been fine. Like I don't even think about it. Like it just takes care of itself, and all I have to really
like you say, you'll be fine, man. Monster Hunter 6 will explode.
I think Monster Hunter 6 is gonna be okay. Whatever
Monster
it is,
Hunter World
fine.
already made it known. So,
but I don't think it's. We're talking a little bit about parasocial relationships. Me personally, I don't feel like it's right to put up like stream goals, donation goals, stuff like that, because you either might push somebody to give money that they really shouldn't afford to do it, or you might make people who can't afford to give it all feel bad that they can't afford to give it all. And I just don't like it. I'll do charity streams every once in a while. And that's fine. That's a little different, because that's not money going to me and they understand it's for charity. It's not necessarily, something that's going to keep me alive and fed and stuff. But in terms of like pressuring people to sub and stuff like that, outside of a joke every once in a while, that's all I would ever do. I wouldn't put goals and stuff up in stream because it just changes the tone to me. Like I hate it. I go into a stream sometimes. It's like, new
and then you're looking
build.
at it. Yeah.
And it's like $50 out of like 3,000. It's like, what are you doing? Like you trying to squeeze people? Like I don't know. That's just me though. Maybe I'm luxurious or bougie enough at the point that I don't have to worry about it, but I feel like it sets, a sad or a weird tone sometimes in the stream. If you're really pushing people, get to the point where you can do it naturally without having to, really push people for it. And I think that's a good time to go. Trying to do it full time.
I'm curious how your transition was between switching to full-time content creator, because right now I have a daytime job, 6 hours.
Yep.
And I make decent money off YouTube, but not fully to trust on. So it's hard for me to do that switch, the transition, because then I think of what if Monster Hunter dies, or what if no one watches my content anymore? How was it for you, like the transition?
So, my life situation was good. I'm married. My wife works full time. I can get health insurance through her. So at least in the US for you guys, like we've got the most screwed up healthcare system in the world, where somebody needs to be ideally employed for an employer that will then provide health insurance that you still pay for. It's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Right.
It's ridiculous. I wish we could live anywhere else in the world, but whatever, there's family.
Philippines.
Yeah. So we got maybe the Philippines would probably be okay. Cost of living is a bit lower there, right? We would probably do it, but you wouldn't have anything
you'll
to
be
do.
fine.
See,
$20
this whole talk is really helping me out because even the whole stream goes thing, but I consider my spot, it's a special spot because right now, although I did go through college, I did have a decent education, I still have my day job, but the thing is my day job is kind of weak now. So technically, even though I'm not earning, the bucks that people if you're a content creator outside the Philippines, you wouldn't be able to live with it, and let alone support someone with it as well. I'm actually dependent on it. I'm dependent on YouTube revenue and also Twitch revenue, and I have to have these goals. And at the same time, I'm supporting someone else with a medical condition. So all these things are like, even if I don't want to have a goal, like a goal,
You might find it gets met anyways, though. Honestly, I mean, and at the same time, at the very least for your YouTube channel, you know, you could probably stand to benefit by finding an agent for a talent agency, because there's companies that will, you know, I mean, Raid Shadow Legends, you know, best RPG in the world. Even outside of them, I mean, there are companies that will help, you know, sponsor you, a minute or two or in an hour or two on your stream, to stream their content.
So getting an agent is actually a good idea, because before I thought it was a bad idea, like getting an agent.
So you know, it's somebody who's working full time to find brand deals for you to do, and they take a little bit of money when they give you the deal, but I mean, that's a deal you wouldn't have gotten otherwise. Here's the way I look at it: is it better for me and better for my audience for me to spend an hour or two out of 40 hours a week playing video games, the content that they want to see, to spend an hour or two doing something that maybe they want to see or maybe they don't want to see, and then I don't ever have to worry about asking them for whether or not they can subscribe or give me their own money? Why would I ask them for their money when I have a company that wants to give me their money, and it just takes a little bit of time?
Yeah. Makes
right?
sense.
I
Makes
mean,
sense.
if you, I mean, say you're a viewer in my stream and I say, Bada, I need you to give me $25 for me to stream again forever. Or, hey, I'm going to be talking about this coffee for, you know, I'm going to have a chat link going for an hour.
Yeah.
Is that going to hurt you in any way? Is that going to bother you in any way? And then I'll say, you never have to worry about subscribing because my sponsorships take care of everything.
And you can focus more on your own content,
Just
the
focus on
brand
the
of
own
your
content.
content.
And you
you grow naturally, right?
What's that?
And you grow naturally, and you get natural donations. People will donate.
People will still
at
subscribe
their
anyway.
leisure.
I tell them not to subscribe, and they still subscribe. I say, don't subscribe. I say, if it's going to put you out, don't subscribe. You know, like I said, I turn off donations because, you know, you get to the point with sponsorships. That's just the way I feel. I'd rather take a company's money than take my audience's money, because I don't want to be like, oh, I care so much. Oh, I love them. But you can't exist without them. You know, like they're precious to me. Like, I love them because I literally could not do what I could do without them. But them existing and them supporting my stream just by watching the stream is so valuable. It matters so much that, like, I feel bad if they're coming out and they're giving me money. They're still going to do it anyway.
Actually has value, and that actually has value with a company that's willing to sponsor you, because they're
and for the most part, you know, 99 out of 100, I do only take sponsorships that I actually like. Like, I got an offer from Audible, and I'm like, I hate this company. I'm never taking that deal. I've gotten offers from them several times, but I had a bad experience with them. I will never take one. It's sitting there like, do you want this money? I'm like, no, keep your damn money. Your money sucks. It's dirty.
You don't like Audible? I like Audible.
They screwed me over, dude. They screwed me over hard. I don't want to get into it. I don't want to get into it.
Right. No, it's fine.
So, but to answer your question, I mean, for me, it was, I was making enough money streaming that it was close enough to full time. I had my wife, I had my savings, we had no debt. And it just seemed like a good time. You know, I just finished Dream Match. I just finished getting the NA Championship in 2018. Things were going good. I said, we'll give it a shot. I mean, you always have to think about, when you take a risk like that, like, what is the worst thing that can happen? The worst thing that can happen is I find out I'm not making ends meet. I go get another day job. That's it. You know, I didn't burn any bridges. I'm still a good loan officer if I wanted to be one, or marketing manager. I could do that again too, I guess. You know, I mean, especially nowadays, the employment market is so screwed up. You could probably pick a job and just get it. I think, I don't know.
Just get it. Yeah.
But, you know, for me, it was, I just don't like having a manager, not an agent. Agent gets me money, so I like that guy. But I don't like having somebody like managing me, telling me what to do, what's a good idea, what's a bad idea. I'm just really independent like that. And so for me, even if I was making half of what I was making before, and it really, it's evened out. It's about the same as what I was making before anyways. It was worth it because I was just so much happier. And yes, you put in a lot of time and it's a lot of work and it's uncertain and you never know what's going to happen and you don't know if Monster is going to die or what you're going to do or what your content's going to be. But that outweighs everything versus having a manager. And then you come on and you make people's day. You know, the value is you're bringing people entertainment, you're bringing them company, you're showing them something that they couldn't see anywhere else. Content sucks out there now. Netflix is garbage. It's Squid Game's like maybe the only semi-decent thing I've seen on that service in a long time. Lots of anime comes out, it sucks. Watch the anime.
Yeah.
Movies are garbage. You know, I mean, streaming content creators and YouTube content creators, I spend more time on YouTube watching it than anything else in my spare time. You know, I watch stream highlights and stuff like that. You know, I watch Jorbs, what he uploads. Sometimes I go on Twitch a little bit, see what people are doing.
This is really
you know,
cool.
and there's a lot of people out there like that, you know, and you are creating, you know, if you're creating good content, then you are serving them. They're happy to do it. The one thing I could change is I wish we could even shut off ads completely on Twitch. You know, I hate those things.
Yeah, because you can't. You can't. You can't.
You're locked in. It's like the
people have to be
dilemma.
subbed. The people have to be subbed, and
They have
then
to be
it's off for
subbed,
them.
they have to have to Twitch
no.
Turbo. Otherwise, if you run ads, it shuts off pre-rolls, but then you're showing people ads. You're a dick no matter what you do.
Yeah, because even you literally get nothing from the ads too when you play
It's pretty
them.
bad. It's pretty bad.
Nothing. It's nothing.
It's not.
It's just there to annoy the viewers. It's like, oh,
it's there. I have it as a redeem, and people redeem it for 1 minute of ads, and it's just like tax the plebs.
Crap.
It just feels so bad. It's unfortunate.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Shepard. Thank you for enlightening us with content creation, how you started.
I don't want to talk like I'm the king or anything like that. You know, like I said, I do it full time. I've got a certain perspective for it. You know, what worked for me may not work for anyone else. But I think it's good general advice, right? You know, think about what you'd want to watch when you click into a stream and you're watching your favorite streamer, Angbada, and he's about to put on a stream. What is the sort of thing you'd like to see him do?
They usually just say they want to watch me cart. So
okay, well, give them a situation where you're going to cart a lot, right?
And add suspense to it, right? Like naked
all melee light bowgun through Shara.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah,
that could take you a month potentially. Who knows?
Naked Shara.
Naked all the way through Shara. Naked all. Well, don't do naked through Fatalis. It's like impossible.
Oh yeah.
I think you should do full game running. And it's particularly you about that because you're at a point where you get a very deep, like you get 60, 80, sometimes more average, right, viewership, and I think you could segue yourself into full game running. I really think you could do it.
Yeah, don't feel necessarily you're going to pigeonhole yourself into it forever. I mean, just try it out. See what they like. See if they like it. Maybe the people that watch you don't like it, and you just do something different.
For you,
don't do arena time attack only. Just don't do that.
But Shepard, you know what?
I will never try that. Yeah, go. No, you go, Richard.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for being here. Thanks for your advice. And great. I mean, it's a great attitude. I love that saying you said. Rising tide. How do you say? Floats,
lifts all ships.
Lifts all ships. That is great. I love that mentality. And I've actually had a really good time on stream and just hanging out and chatting and even setting up the stream. You've put up with the three of us, like Jesus.
There was a 10-minute period of time. I'm like, these guys are messing with me. These guys, this is some elaborate prank. They want to ruin my Saturday morning. Oh, don't worry, we're gonna start it. Oh, we're gonna start. Don't worry. Oh no.
Right. No, when you said it, and I understood that, I was literally laughing out loud. I was like, oh my god, it does look that way. So I made the call immediately. I was like, boom, make call now. But yeah, we just so everyone knows, we've been a bit of a headache, like going back and forth.
Yeah.
And Shepard, you've been awesome. I mean, you've just
literally professional streamer trolled again. Just live on stream.
Awesome. Absolutely. To the point that this doesn't actually feel like a podcast for me. This is like an educational stream. This is like a workshop. It's like me just listening to Shepard. He's going for that, and I know you're not going to say you're king, but I respect it because you were in the game for so long, and your growth isn't just like something just popped immediately. So definitely everything came through experience, and when you started from passion, then you were giving out free stuff, and you're not even getting anything in return. It's just you want the game to explode, and then now you're full time. It's like karma just gifted you something, you know.
It's like I said, I don't even think about it. You know, I take brand sponsorship deals when I can get them, and other than that, I just try to make good content, and that's it. If I have a weakness, is I don't upload to YouTube enough.
Yeah.
That's my problem.
Fuck,
You know,
and you go to his YouTube, it's chock full for the past 11 years.
there's plenty of stuff to go through. I'm not worried about that, but new content, it's a little light. But then again, there's, you know, outside of weird esoteric topics, like I'm not going to be posting like, you know, hey, look at my new Rise TA. Like I'm not going to do that. Like doesn't.
Yeah.
Right.
When PC hits in January, if you guys are working on some good TA runs, I just say hold on to those and just drop them then, so it gets carried up by the algorithm.
By the algorithm, yeah.
Just build them up, D. Just get ready, like build it up, make a little backlog, and just put them out one after another after it hits on PC, because people will actually be interested in the game again, or closer to that.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah.
Why are you releasing it in October 2021? Who cares?
Well, maybe after
sorry.
Sunbreak releases, we can have you again on stream.
Yeah, I mean, look, you ask if I'm free, I'll do it. You know, it's fine. I'm always happy to go on other podcasts. This was a decent one. I approve of this one. I'll give you my seal of approval.
Appreciate it.
Don't worry, the second podcast is going to be more professional. Don't worry, we're all going to be on time. The cleaning lady is not going to go there. The cleaning.
No.
The first 10 to 15 minutes was rough, but we've eased into it. We're okay now. I'm okay now. I'll come back.
Awesome. That's great to hear. That's awesome. That is great.
So, any more last words that you want to say to our viewers, Shepard? Like anything that they should look forward to?
Anything you want to
channel, or maybe a challenge is going to come.
Look, you know, twitch.tv/SDShepard, youtube.com/SDShepard, fine, whatever. Go to it if you want. Please.
Links in description.
Retro said he was going to put his computer onto my stream 24 hours a day anyways, so it's fine.
I'll send pictures as proof.
Yeah, but you know, I think it is important, you know, and sometimes in the TA community, sometimes not. It's important to try and be positive sometimes too, because there is like it can be a very strong attitude of like, oh, I'm going to dunk your time, or oh, I'm going to screw you over, or oh, all that stuff. And like it's competition is healthy. It's a good thing, but at the same time, like, you know, the runners and whatnot, like they're all people too. You know, give them a little gas sometimes. You know, try and build them up sometimes. Try to be good for them.
Don't go too personal, basically. Like,
yeah, don't take it personally if somebody beats your time or whatnot, whatever. But you know, like sometimes you'll see it. Somebody, you know, you'll have a bad card or whatever. Somebody come in and type like WR ? No, world record. That's just like so toxic. Like that's not cool. That's not fun. You know, especially if somebody's been like, you know, in their stream, they've been grinding out runs for 4 hours, you know. Think about where they're at.
Right.
Think of where those guys are at. Like I'm fine. Like the content I do, like it's not high stress. It's a challenge. It's an endurance run. It's exploring a lot. I'm fine. But for the people out there, like the real TA runners that are really grinding it, just, you know, if they're on there entertaining you, don't be too hard on them. So I'm saying it more for the people that I've seen in the way that they interact with each other more than anything else. Because it's important, because like, you know, you might troll somebody out of the community, and then what? Now we're down a person. You know, you want Dark Souls to win? I don't want Dark Souls to win.
You gotta be bigger.
Dark Souls to win.
You gotta be bigger.
Right. And don't get me wrong, I love Dark Souls, but you know, let's focus more.
You just said it. Competition is good. Healthy competition is good.
Let's work to make it an inviting community that gets people active and interested in casual, challenge, competitive Monster Hunter, so people want to stay in the community rather than things that
leave.
You know,
they think it's
or
too
get pushed
toxic.
out, feel toxic, it's bad and stuff like that. So if I've got one thing to say, is you know, keep that in mind going forward. Be like, ooh, soy boy Shepard can't handle the heat. Okay, like whatever, fine.
I have a question about this, and you don't have to put it in the podcast if Shepard feels uncomfortable. But you know that story with the RTA thing where you exposed that one guy?
Sure.
So whether he cheated or not, did you think it's necessary to go instantly, like so publicly? Because
Sure.
like you made a video.
Yeah, okay. So first let's talk about
like I'm not judging God, I'm just
no, it's fine. No, I'll talk about it. So let's there's two parts to this really. So the first part is, if you're a content creator and you've released a video to the public yourself, it's already out there, right? Second, if you're a moderator on a channel for speedruns, right, that's another layer of responsibility, right? And then third, if that is now a first place world record run, I think that in and of itself has demonstrated, right, to a certain point where you've opened yourself up to analysis and criticism, correct?
Right, yeah.
Do you? I mean, do you agree or no?
Yeah, right. I
Yeah, I
agree.
agree.
Yeah, I didn't see
you
actually
agree?
in that point, but
I know
yeah.
Retro doesn't agree with me necessarily. Retro, how do you feel about that statement?
Well, for me,
Just for that
problem-
one part, just starting there.
oh well,
where
that
you-
part. What I couldn't agree more, and
Okay.
that's an inevitability when you're
Okay, so
when you're posting on a public platform.
Let's start
right?
with just that. Okay. So I have thousands of hours of content out there. Anyone could take any one of my pieces and say, Shepard, it looks like you did something weird with a hammer here. I made a video detailing it. Do you have a response for that? Right? And me as a content creator, you know, and I've got world records, it then goes back to me to try and explain what I've done and how I've done it, right? So,
Right.
so now we have a dialogue. So let's then go in a little bit into the video that I made. So I did an analysis. I made 2 videos. Second video was better than the first video. And started with the scientific method, right? We all know the scientific method. Make a hypothesis, create a methodology, test the methodology, get a conclusion. So what's the hypothesis? The hypothesis is if I use this controller and I set it to turbo, a certain high frequency turbo, and I'm using this particular gun in almost all situations, I get between the first shot being fired and the last shot being fired, 81 frames, 81 unique frames as determined by Sony Vegas, which is able to tell me the number of unique frames that I have. And so the scientific method would say is if you keep testing that over and over again, you can keep testing your hypothesis over and over again, whether your program says 90 or my program says 81 or somebody else's program says 72, if you can test it and you can replicate the results, then you have at least not disproven the hypothesis that we can create a shot timing of 81 frames. Are we all on the same page here?
Yeah.
Retro, you agree too?
I do.
Okay. So my hypothesis was turbo controllers are able to very consistently achieve the lowest possible amount of frames that you can possibly get with this light bowgun.
Yeah.
So let's take a one step back. Okay. So that's where I am with turbo controllers. Before Rise even came out, I did something that I'd never done before. And I can't even tell you why I did it. I went to the Rise Speedrun forum under speedrun.com because I speedrun World and I didn't know, maybe I'll speedrun Rise. Maybe, likely. And I clicked on a forum topic started by, I mean, the person in question. We don't need to say their name. I don't certainly don't want to give them any more grief. And this moderator started up a topic, what do we think about turbo controllers? And their topic that they started, this is the person in question that I did the analysis on, was say, hey, we've seen from the demo already, if we use a controller that we're getting faster than normal timings. I didn't think that. I would have never thought that in the first place, that you'd use turbo control. This is what gave me the entire idea in the first place, that we should probably test anyone that's going to be using light bowgun. And if you go there, one of my only comments that I've ever made under speedrun.com forums is me there saying, I agree that if these controllers pose an advantage, we should make a separate tool-assisted category so that people can use them without guilt. Because be it top performance, be it maybe mobility issues, right? So maybe somebody has got carpal tunnel syndrome or sensitive hands, or they're a real grinder and they want to do like 10 hours of speed running a day, and so they just want to give themselves a break. They should be allowed to use a turbo control if they like, so long as they disclose it. And I said, if these exist, and if we don't create a separate category for them, they will get used. And ironically, the person in question, the person who posted the topic, you can go back, liked my comment. They went down, they went out of the way, they liked my comment. They agreed with that comment. They said, yes, we should.
Yeah, but then you know how that goes. I mean, you have alliances and loyalties and people take sides.
Let's not even get into that.
Right.
At the end of the day,
it's a mess.
There was not a separate category made. It wasn't. And so not long after the game came out, I did a couple runs. I said, this run sucks. I don't like the Rise run. But people in my channel talking to me and people in my Discord DMs talking to me said, hey, This run looks strange. What do you think about it? And I said, I don't know. I'll look at it. And I looked at it, and I have over a dozen years of playing Monster Hunter. I said, wow, I can't prove it yet, but those shot timings look incredibly consistent. They're fast. They're really fast. That's not the problem. They're consistent. And you guys are all gunners. Mm-hmm. I don't know if any of you have used turbo controllers or not.
Yeah,
you can feel it, right? You can feel it when you use it. It feels smoother. It feels faster. It feels very, dare I say, consistent. So let's go back to the hypothesis. A turbo controller creates a frame window of 81 unique independent frames. I analyzed the video, and granted, take a million grains of salt. It's a Twitch stream, right? I don't know what settings they have. I got to download it, and I got to upload it into my own Sony Vegas and hope that those things are all the same. But when I do my analysis, in spite of that, in spite of all of that, all of those things that could go wrong, I still find many, many, many entries of consistent, like volley after volley after volley after volley, 81 frames. That shouldn't happen, right?
Like, it should.
Take all of those things that could happen. That shouldn't happen. Okay. So I make the first video. I'm still understanding the process myself. So that first video, was it perfect? Absolutely not. Did I say things in that first video I shouldn't have said? Absolutely. So that's why I made that second video, which really clarified things and got things very specific, right? So obviously the other moderator involved with him completely exonerated. Top runner completely exonerated. Person in question, even more suspicious, because I found out the exact way to completely replicate the very consistent, shortest possible timings. I don't know how much farther you want me to go after that. I could talk about more about it.
No. I hope, please don't feel insulted by this or attacked by me. I hope so. I just wanted to see your insight because of what we were talking, and I'm sorry if I destroy a little bit the mood of the stream.
No. Look, I'm sure. Fun. Look, I knew coming.
I really wanted to know. I was.
Well, we
really
didn't know. No, Shepard. In full disclosure,
I was.
We didn't know. We didn't know if we wanted to even ask you or not.
Well, you already did, so it's done.
Well, yeah. Well, he did.
So it's fine.
And to clarify my point of view, because you brought me up once or twice, and I went into your stream and I made myself known there, and you acknowledged me and you answered when I was there speaking. My issue was, and maybe still is a little bit, was how publicly it all went.
Yeah.
And not outing anything that you might think. I think we all have a right, and we should do that. The mods that we all use is known to everyone. Like size RNG, fixing HP, the size, the food skills, that kind of stuff.
And I don't like it, to be honest. I don't like any of that.
No, that's fair.
It's
100%.
fine as long as it's disclosed.
100%.
That's where I stand. Yeah.
You are, and I'm glad that you voiced that. We should be able to do that and not fall into having a personal dispute. We can disagree. That's fine.
Here's
my only issue was bringing that up because you never know where someone is in their personal life. Like mentally, maybe he's on this tightrope where he's balancing, and the last thing he needs to really fall a little bit lower.
Sure. But
is getting outed.
Well,
that was my issue.
Okay,
just to be
let me address
specific.
that.
And I'm not friends with either one of them, by the way, Shepard.
It's not fine. Everyone is completely entitled to their opinion, whether I'm an asshole, whether I did the right thing or the wrong thing. Here's where I come from. I did a lot of speedrunning in Monster Hunter World. Any major serious run was done on an Xbox One X for two reasons. One, I knew there's no way I could be cheating on an Xbox One X. Anyone that would ever want to accuse me of cheating on an Xbox One X would have to show some way that you can cheat on an Xbox One X. And two, I don't have to be in a category that is the PC clown show. You can very effortlessly, even unintentionally, run an overlay over your own screen showing you monster HP, flinch values, statuses, tolerances, and have it completely hidden from the stream.
Yeah.
Entirely. You can, and that's not even saying that. Even just the sort of custom mods you can put in your native PC folder and do anything else. So, I like competition. I don't like if I feel like I'm competing against people that maybe have or have not given themselves an unfair competition. Because yes, I agree. Maybe that person could have been in a vulnerable state. Maybe this could have been very stressful to them. But are we as a community and we as a competitive community supposed to allow the disrespect
No, we're not.
of every other runner underneath them that has that run placed above them?
No,
and don't get me wrong, watching that run, I don't think the time would have been much worse had it been with no turbo. I mean, that's the most upsetting thing. Is a good runner is a good runner. So many other things go into a run other than holding the R2 button, right? You fire a little faster.
Definitely.
You get an extra 5 or maybe 10% damage, which is significant, but not everything. There's a lot of other things you can do. And the run got beat by somebody who definitely did not use turbo. I mean, I don't want to say here unambiguously that they used turbo, but I have yet to have it been proven to me that they haven't. And the only way to prove that you haven't is to show in a similar conditions in a similar run, able to do the same sort of shot input timings across an entire run. And as soon as the video came out, they did say that they were going to do that. They said, I'm going to do another run and I'm going to do it faster, showing my hands on screen, doing the same timings. That never happened. A report was done. The data seemed strange to me. And then the clips that were submitted showed one input that was at 81 frames among a cluster of others that were not 81 frames. And that's not what the gameplay showed. The gameplay showed consistent 81 frames across the time, which, as far as I can tell, has only ever been done consistently with a turbo controller. I never said it was impossible to hit 81 frames, but you guys know as well as I do, you need to hit every shot perfectly.
I did. I said it was impossible multiple times. The moment I saw it, I said, this is not possible. And I was actually in stream with a few really good, really good gunner players, and
even if
that's my point of view to this day. Even if you grab like L1 and L2 and bind them both to the shot, it's not possible, because then you also have frame inconsistencies on Switch.
Exactly. Yeah.
You have like Switch isn't a platform that it gives consistent enough performance so that you as a player, accounting for your imperfections as a human being when making your inputs, could inadvertently result in a more precise gameplay if it coincides with irregularities in frame rate and performance that the Switch provides. There's no way to consistently do anything on
Well,
Switch.
like I said, there's two parts you can argue with me on. One is if I should have done it in the first place, and the second one of whether or not it's possible or not. I'm not holding
just a public thing.
I'm not holding you guys against it, other than, like I said, you're a moderator. You've uploaded the video and then you've submitted it as number one. To me, that's that's fair game. I mean, go look at any other speedrun leaderboard in the world and see what happens when somebody submits a run with outside tools. 99 times out of 100, it gets exposed and shut down for some reason. And I don't want to get into it because I don't want to get anyone else involved. I have knowledge. Let's just say this. I have other people that were involved in the decision of the video. Long streams of them playing, to me, clearly, again, with a turbo controller and then submitting those runs.
Well, this goes back to, hopefully Capcom gives us a platform at some point, like an official.
No,
it won't happen. It won't happen.
No.
I was even talking to some of the modders.
It comes down to community policing, and to be quite honest with you, we failed.
Well, okay, here you go. Tell me what you think about this. So I went up to a few different modders, right? Some maybe some you don't, I don't know. But I proposed to them the same thing. I said, let's create a website, let's create a platform. I'll fund it. Me personally, Retro, I will pay for the servers, and I'll pay for the development of this EXE or whatever it is, a plugin for the computer. So the idea is you go in like Shepard, you create a username, shepard@leaderboard.com, and you use a password. So you sign in. And once you sign in, this program, it's invasive. So it's goes
in your
into
hooks and everything else like that.
Right. So it's checking in real time what your PC is running, what's in your native PC, what the game is actually doing, and you're actually logging in your attempts. So it's like when you show up for work.
That's just like they do for Minecraft Retro. So you wouldn't be the first person to have ever done anything like that. The difference is that they build it in natively in Minecraft, and the only difference is I don't see Capcom ever doing that. But you could do it.
Right. Well, we can do it.
I would love to see it. It would be you would submit it as like a double verified run, essentially, right?
Well, correct, because then what happens is you have, okay, so now I know Shepard today, if I went to go check the logs, I could see that you got your run, or today you did 5 hours of attempts, for example, and it logs it in. And if at any point you're running something on your PC that you shouldn't be, the program identifies it and just flags it, and immediately nullifies the run. And potentially you could run some sort of ban system on the website, or something like that.
Look, I love it. My thing is I wish it wasn't necessary, because we had a case where, as far as I can tell, people can say it was clearly tool assisted in some way, and yet we all looked at it as tool assisted in some way, and the decision was made, actually, this was not tool assisted, because we think a human could have done it. Even though the human has not necessarily proven they've done it, in theory they could have done it, so we say they did it. That's the level that has now been set on the speedrun.com leaderboard for Monster Hunter World, or Rise at least.
I wish there was a tool assisted category, but the problem is
just like, what is here? You know what the issue is? People want to pretend that they're better than they are. They don't want to say, I'm not just the best. I actually have frame perfect inputs, and you can't tell me that I have otherwise, even though they did. That's what it is.
The issue is that they get discredited. Like, whether it's something tool assisted or not, it could take less.
Of course it takes away from it. It absolutely takes away from it, because you had to use a tool assistance. But that
moves the value. That's
the lumps you take when you go tool assisted. You know, I mean, I could put a video out there using turbo, using an overlay, using HP fixing, using location fixing, using AI fixing, and I could post and say, look, I've got the best run in the world. And see,
but other people use it too, so you have exactly the same advantage. So you're competing against the same levels, like same ground.
But you know, people are living in this fantasy world, like this dream TA land, where people are suddenly able to do all these things. And then it's like, you know, and then like the attitude is when somebody like, hey, can we not cheat? People are like, wow, Soy Boy can't handle the competition, not on PC. That's the attitude that I see on Twitter.
No, and it's true, 100%. That is true, and that's why I keep recommending something like this. Unfortunately, I don't have the know-how.
Here I'll say, all right, I'm gonna flex my massive PP right now. I create a ton of content,
buttholes and PPs.
I'm very successful. I didn't cheat at all on anything. You know. Meanwhile, everyone's fighting over the scraps, cheating up. You think viewers can't tell? You think people can't tell when something's not genuine? Like, who are you really fooling? That's what I want to say.
Yeah,
you know?
Well, it's not really cheating if you're not going against some rules. I'm not talking the run we were talking about. There is rules that turbo is not allowed. But for example, for the YouTube game, you want to entertain viewers and you want to make the run as fast as possible and to get it in the least effort as possible. So using like fixed spawn and all that stuff, which are publicly available for everyone, is, in my opinion, totally not cheating.
As long as it's disclosed. That's all I say. That's all I say is if you're doing anything like that, it's just, you got to put that in the description at least, if not in the title.
Yeah.
Because it really devalues. You know, I mean, it's insulting to the viewer. You know, you're pulling a trick. It's a charade. You know, I mean. I don't know what else to say. Look, I've got very strong opinions on this. If you could not tell,
I can.
We can.
We all do. We all have. We all,
I mean, we're all runners, so that's why.
All I'm going to say is, like, if the only thing you have to provide is a fast time, what are you really providing? And if you could only provide that fast time by using all of these tools. Yeah, it's a strategy. It's cool. You've got some cool tricks. It's great. But you know, I mean, now you've already like taking it down another level, like, because it just feels artificial. That's all. That's all I'm saying. And I'm not saying there's value to resetting a run because the monsters spawn in the wrong area. There's not, and it is time intensive, and it does take effort. I mean, I've done some TA runs before. I did freaking Lucanlos and Portable Third. It took probably 48 hours of attempts before I had something that I wanted to upload. Does that show in the run? I hope so.
Well, yeah, definitely.
You know, but then again, I guess Lucanlos doesn't have random spawns. I guess he had random HP, but I would have never known.
I guarantee you, Monster Hunter 6 will have. Will the game start? It's RNG.
Yeah, no,
four times.
So I don't know. Does that answer your question? I don't even know if I got to your question.
I think just there's no need to answer anything. I think just touching the subject is fine, and that's it. I think we can
Okay.
drop it.
I really wanted an insight of your point of view.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
Well,
right.
I
I
think
don't say you're wrong or right. I wanted just
Yeah,
the
the
insight.
insight,
Right? Like
another
That's it.
perspective.
Did I
another
answer all of your
perspective.
questions then?
yes.
I think
Okay.
so. I mean, if there's nothing else on that topic you want to say, then I think it's fair.
No,
right?
I mean, what else is there to say other than
nothing.
I'll say this: the last thing I got from the moderators, they said something in the Discord. They said, "Actually, we don't know. We'll wait for Rise PC to come out, and then we'll create a final verdict." That's what I've been left on. Okay.
Well, hopefully we'll have one of them on this Pewpew podcast at some point.
The
He's a friend of
moderators?
mine. I like him.
Look,
Well,
I mean, all I'm
okay.
gonna say is like,
Bagel. You know Bagel?
Oh
I
yeah,
love
yeah, bagel,
Sure.
bagel. Yeah.
he was
Bagel's
in
fucking
in some of my tournaments.
Mhm.
I've given my
Hopefully
notes.
he'll
I've
agree. I
gone way
haven't asked
back with him. But I mean, look,
Bagel, if you're listening, come with us.
I mean, look, he ultimately the decision was his, and that rests on him, and that rests on the integrity of the speedrun leaderboard. All I'm going to say is, you said, Retro, you were one of the strongest opponents. You said there's no way this was humanly possible, and why he made that decision. He could feel bad all day long about the person in question. I feel bad. I could have made a part 3, right? I could have made a part 3, a part 4, part 5. I don't want to cause any individual person stress. But if we care at all about competitive Monster Hunter, you got to
to be addressed, right? Yeah.
You got to hold. There's got to be accountability somewhere. We're talking weeks after the game come out, a cheated run, #1 on the leaderboard. Hello? I mean, if there's a time to step up and do some moderation, this is it. This is your chance. This is your chance. You've been putting in all these runs. You put in all this time, putting all this effort this whole time. You got to get it right. You get one chance to get it right. What are you gonna do?
Right. Hot topic, part 3 incoming.
No, like I said, I've got more content I could do. I choose not to do it because, like you said, did I think it was valid to make the video? Yes. Do I think the video is correct? Yes. But apparently it caused the person a lot of individual stress, and I don't want to cause anyone stress. It's just a hobby for them. I don't, there was rumors that clout chasing.
I mean, you can know how someone will behave. Like some other runner could just don't care, right? So it's
sure,
not.
Yeah, I cheated.
Right.
What are you gonna do about it,
Yeah.
idiot? Take the rundown.
Correct.
Like I would defend the cheating.
Or it's someone literally on the edge of brink of having a mental breakdown.
Well, you're gonna, but look, if you're on the verge of mental breakdown and you're out there creating content, submitting it to the leaderboard, I'm not gonna be like, oh, that's not my problem, because like I said, I do feel bad for the person. I don't want them to be stressful, but I don't know the person personally. I don't know who they are. I know that they're a moderator. I know they submitted a run that was cheated. I know I don't like cheating, and I know that nobody else seems to have addressed this. That's where I am. Somebody says I'm chasing clout. I don't think I'm chasing clout.
Yeah.
I make content all the time, man. I don't need that video from one or the other. Bot is just sitting there Bot is running out of his room. Bot is gone.
I'm sorry.
Bot is looking sexy. He's got shorts on.
Yeah. That's my trademark. Shep. I always wear boxers, but I was supposed to say I'm gonna go pee.
Okay.
So he always streams, I think, in his underwear.
That's
I think.
very.
It's probably
hot for
warm
Twitch.
in the Philippines.
It's probably pretty warm there. So I mean, that's where I am. Am I disappointed? Yes. Do I wish a better call was made? Yes. I wish a better analysis was made personally, because that was just confusing. But I mean, there's nothing else to really say about it other than what I've already said. So I guess I don't have to go on the topic.
Again, that's why I asked.
We have the same headphones.
Cut it off the podcast. And I'm
These are the
sorry
best.
for extending this podcast with this question so long.
I've got a sponsored stream I'm supposed to do today, dude, and you're holding me up.
I'm sorry.
This son of a
Oh,
bitch.
crap, I'm so
Phillips,
sorry.
right?
I respect.
Phillips,
Time is
Yo-Yo.
money. I'm actually hearing you guys while I'm there peeing, but
I
you
have
can't
the
hear my
Okay.
pee.
Well, fortunately, we didn't hear. So I mean, that's it. I mean, look, I would gladly tune in to hear further response. I mean, look, at the end of the day, time keeps on moving. We always have the opportunity to try and address it and correct it from the future. What I just don't like is flagrantly doing something, having it be exposed, scientifically, to the frame input, and have it count, and then act like it doesn't there. Looks like a duck, quacks like a duck, it's a duck. Instead, it feels like there was some sort of stand taken because if somebody's feelings are hurt, then we're not going to take any accountability. you know. And if you're into content creation, I'm sorry, your feelings will be hurt daily. Twitch and YouTube comments are not a friendly place. And you should not put yourself out there if you don't want to be exposed to them.
Content. You're making public content, so that's expected.
You're making public content, and you're publicly competing.
Yeah,
it is immediately opening you up to any sort of criticism whatsoever.
Especially,
you know, and if you can't, you know, so like, yes, do I feel bad? Yes, but I wouldn't change what I did. So.
Because it should be known. Yeah, like, I mean, I completely agree there.
I mean, look, if nobody cares, and like nobody cares, then that's just like the record is. Submit whatever the hell you want on the leaderboard, you know, one hit kill monsters a native PC, you know, set random modifiers to reduce monsters health, set random modifiers to increase the damage and not have it display right, put on overlays, like do everything. Like it's a fair game, you know, it ruins the integrity of the leaderboard. That's all. So it's unfortunate.
Who knows? Maybe one day we can have a scenario, a setting with like what you say, Minecraft runs natively.
Like I said, like this isn't even my main content. You know, I've done a lot of Monster Hunter Worlds. Like you introduced me as an RTA runner. I am an RTA runner, but I do a lot of other things too. So this is not my bread and butter. But like, think about what it means for the other people that are on that leaderboard that want to do things legit, that are running the same weapon. Or think about other people on the leaderboard that are also doing things legit, that are using other weapons that just know that anything goes, and how that feels for them. Because it's not just me. I wasn't the only one that heard the results. They're public. Everybody heard it.
I can see the complete aim there. It's just you're not completely against it. It's just that it should have a separate bracket. That's it. Just have a separate bracket. That's
just
all.
Have a little category. Just a little section. Tool assisted.
Yeah.
You know, every TA run tool assisted. Whatever.
I mean, that's the solution for everything. And the whole toxicity about running, doing speedruns on PC, doing speedruns on console, it can be solved by that. People just keep on.
But what it comes down to is people want an advantage without saying they have an advantage.
Yeah.
Because there's no other explanation for it.
Yeah,
I want to look better than I am, you know? And you know, when you look at, I mean, I could still go back. It has not been disproven because, again, it doesn't come down to the number of frames. It comes down to the consistency of the frames, right? Mm-hmm. Normally firing your light bowgun, you're always going to be off by a couple of frames for one or another unless you figured out the secret to lowest input delay with maybe you've got like foot pedals or something. You're like on a dance path bouncing back and forth or something. I don't know.
You're always up to the beat. That shit.
I guess it's just like you'd be freaking ripped by the end of that run, man. You'd be shredded.
Some PC runners have actually foot pedals.
Yeah. So you know, whatever works. Okay, so that's a real bummer. That was cool. Thanks. Mm-hmm. It's really way to end the stream on a high point. We spent the whole stream building everyone up, staying positive. Hey, streamer Shepard, tell me about that one awful time in someone's life.
I think that we should end this stream on a positive note.
Yeah, end it on a positive
and not
note.
on this bullshit. I think. Yeah. Because ultimately, I said it to Shepard in chat, and I mean it.
Because I wanted just an insight. That's why I say it.
I really mean it. I really mean when I say we should try and keep this community as open as possible.
Absolutely.
And like, look at what Shepard's doing. He comes. It's positive attitude, positivity, inclusivity.
I just want to see everyone doing better. And if we're gonna do something, you know, let's do it right. That's all.
We
that's
all
how
love
I feel.
this game.
And
that's people
how,
in this chat.
Yeah,
that love
that's how you
this
should treat
game.
everything. Do it right. Be positive. Come in with a good, happy, open attitude. You know, build each other up.
And why is it that we have something in common? Like from the get-go, everyone loves this game. We all like to participate and be involved in the game. That should be enough to at least not fight like cat and dogs. You know?
Yeah.
True.
So Shepard, thank you so much, man.
You're welcome.
Really
it was a good time. Other than the beginning and the end, it was the delightful sandwich in the middle.
See what happened? Now the end we're still
like. Now the end, we rolled back, Deva.
God,
we came back.
Yeah. So no part 3 is coming. Like I said, it's you know, I'm disappointed, but I'm not gonna. I don't want to put anyone else on blast. Like I said, it's maybe we're just not a mature enough community to handle it yet. Maybe in a couple years, maybe we will be.
Hopefully.
I hope so. But otherwise, I mean, I'm just gonna keep doing my challenge runs anyway. Twitch.tv/SPShepard.
Links in the description.
Follow him.
Give him a
me.
follow.
Watch me.
In the description.
Just leave up as many devices in your house watching me simultaneously as you can. That would be appreciated.
Yes.
Okay.
And who knows? Maybe Shepard back after Sunbreak. Who knows? Let us know.
If you want, let me know. I'll come by again.
Awesome.
True.
Cool beans.
Thank you
All
so much, Shepard. See you
All right.
guys.